The, wrong page. March 11th meeting of the Durham Planning Board shall come to order. We will start with a roll call.
Julian Smith. Robert Sullivan.
Heather Grant.
Sally Tobias.
Paul Rasmussen.
Michael Barron, Town Planner. Peyton McManus, Gary Whittington, and Darrell Ford cannot make it tonight.
But Richard Kelly can.
There you go.
Munish Nanda.
Peter Howd.
Emma Hollander.
All right, so I am going to seek Julian for Gary, and Emma, you are going to be Peyton tonight. Ooh, yeah.
Guys, this is my first.
Just one more
My
question.
first official.
One more question.
Small one.
You got to vote and make motions.
Okay.
And do we have anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
Is that a nope to like, not even,
Just me in here right now.
thank you. All right, approval of the agenda. So I got, I've had a request to change the order of items 9 and 10. And I also want to add something under other business to review the council suggestions about the that they made while approving the 4-story downtown ordinance. So that we can, they had some suggestions for things they would have liked to have seen in that amendment. So I want to bring those up so that we can sort of set a plan forward on how to get, yeah, how we're going to address that. So, anything else? I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Town planners report.
You will have an application from Torrington in April for an amendment for their old project on Main Street. We used to call the Orion project, where there's multiple buildings. The original planning board approval and a variance provided that there would be non-residential in 3 buildings, and they haven't been able to rent out one of them for many years, so they obtained a variance last night to only require non-residential in 2 buildings. And they would need an amendment from you because it was part of the site plan. So that's going to come to you in April. The 20 Stratford Avenue, the 2-lot subdivision, is coming back to you on March 25th. And the staff is meeting about a week before to talk about a second driveway, and I don't know how that will play out. I can have a draft, a notice for approval that evening, if you like, and then we can see how things are at that point. It may include several different alternatives, depending on how the staff meeting goes. And then finally, there's 5561 Bay Street. But Rob, you want to talk about that during the Conservation Commission?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it.
Okay. Michael, would you explain to the board what the Orion project is?
For those that may
That
not
Torrington
know.
has taken over.
Oh, the Orion. Oh, in around 2012.
I think
Yes.
just as long as we know where it is. Why do we?
Oh, yeah, it's on Main Street. It's
On the south
the
side.
new buildings. There's a couple, right in a row fronting on Main Street. It's catty corner to the post office.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a large yellow one in the back.
Yeah, the big yellow building, that's sort of next to where Scorpio's is, behind.
Okay.
And then you have those kind of colonial-looking buildings that are going up Church Hill. That's all what we consider Orion.
Well, no, it starts after Freedom Cafe.
Yeah, right after Freedom's Cafe. Yeah, Freedom
Okay.
Cafe. Yeah. It's actually behind Freedom Cafe, not Scorpio's.
Yeah. All right. And thank you. Anything else for the town planner?
All set. Thank you.
All right. Other committees? Town council?
Okay, so the town council met on March 2nd, and we had the first reading and then a schedule of a public hearing on ordinance change amending Chapter 132 for tax exemptions and credits to apply to service-connected total disability veteran tax credit. So that's moving forward to March 23rd. And then we did have also a resolution recognizing the outgoing elected officials, so there was a lot of time spent on that, patting everybody's backs and thanking everyone for their service. Let's see. Oh, and then there was several of the Madberry Complete Streets dollar values approved for each section of the Complete Streets Phase A, 4A and 4B, which, you know, there was some angst on the fact that it's going to cost us a ton of money. But on the other hand, it's the most neglected road, the most torn up road because of the fact that there was the water mains replacements and the gas and all those. So the road is an absolute mess. So I think everybody agreed in the end that we really needed to.
My end of Madbury.
Your end of Madbury Road. It is horrible.
A hole opens up right in front of my driveway every couple of weeks, and I
It's
literally
getting
have
worse.
cones put up, so.
It just gets worse and worse. And if you're there's a ton of people that do that loop up that Madbury area, and it's not a very safe road at this point. Let's see, is there anything else there that was? No, there was more money spent on the fact that we needed to replace some dump trucks and the things that go with it, wing plows, material spreader, et cetera. And those are analyzed, based on how much it costs to keep them up at some point versus buying new. So those were also approved. And there was discussion on the zoning change from RA to Churchill for the 10 Cowell Drive, and that's going to have a public hearing as well on March 23rd. And then there was some discussion of the 5-story buildings for Main Street. It was a very brief discussion, I think, because we kind of ran out of time. But I think that the consensus would be from the town council is they'd like to see what we would do for 5 stories from basically not, okay, I'm having a brain
Jenkins
fade.
Court?
Jenkins Court.
Jenkins Court, but the building after Jenkins Court, that's
Town campus?
town campus. So basically the parking lot and to Pettybrook, I think is where they think that they would feel most comfortable with that. I don't know if you received any information different. Did you have a discussion with Joe or?
Not since that meeting.
Okay, all right. And that's all I have.
I have a question about the vet, what was the?
This is a
public hearing
vet, they're
about the vet?
gonna, veterans.
What are they,
I think it's an expansion, or no, it's not actually an expansion. It offsets one thing from the other, and
is it public hearing?
there's a public hearing on the Monday, which could probably explain it better. 'Cause,
I'll look at it.
I think that I was not quite understanding it completely, and Curtis was going to give a better
Explanation. I'll look at it.
explanation of it.
Yeah, because it only affects a small number.
Yeah, it wouldn't probably.
Oh, is it those that, okay, I think I know what it is, but I'll look at it. Because my husband's a
It almost seemed,
disabled vet.
yeah, it almost seemed like they were talking about like a $500 credit.
He's
But it was,
100%.
if you had it in one place, it was going to go to another, and it was going to be dropped out of one. So it actually was going to be a no-cost change. It just needed to be clarified better, I guess, in how it was done.
Okay.
Or the money would be pocketed in a different place. That's it.
Is that it for town council?
That's it.
That's it. All right. Conservation Commission?
So, go ahead.
So on the Conservation Commission meeting last week, we had a permitted use B question at 561 Bay Road. This was a project at 561 Bay Road. It had been approved in 2024 with a different design. It was approved as a permitted use B because at the time the planning board looked at the project and said it was a repair of retaining walls. So what they've done is they've come back with a new design, and in this new design, the retaining walls have changed. they've expanded, and are proposing a retaining wall that goes down towards the wetland. It goes through the wetland buffer, and in addition to this retaining wall, which is on one side of the property, and it's roughly, 3 or 4 feet high, they want to bring in soil and grade all the way down to the wetland to kind of bring the dirt up to the level of the wall, create more of a sloping level ramp. That's not allowed within the current regulations, and it's not really appropriate for a permitted B use application. So we have to follow the current ordinance and then either approve or disapprove based on the ordinance. You can always change the ordinance, or you can do what the applicant's doing, which is going to the ZBA to get a variance for the project as proposed. So the rub of this is, it's a new design, and what the owner wants to do is basically regrade all the way down to the wetland, and that's not a permitted use within our regs. So that's what's going on. We'll see what happens at the ZBA. And then the applicant has also went back and is, scratching their head about whether they want to have a different new design. So I just want everybody to be aware of that, pay attention to that, and does anybody have any questions about it?
Yes. Actually, it's more of a point of information. You framed the 24 as a repair of the retaining wall, and I think replacement would be a more accurate statement there, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. And part of along the lines of that is the retaining wall before was really associated with the building, replace the retaining wall, and how does the building lie? This new extended retaining wall is really not associated with the building. It's more like a regrading of the yard. So that's kind of where, if they had just, if there had been a linkage between the building and this new wall, then maybe it would have fit within the old category, but it doesn't anymore.
That retaining wall along the eastern property line as well, a permitted use B allows for repair or replacement of a retaining wall. But the impetus for this retaining wall is actually the grading that's being done. Does that make sense? So the wall is because of the grading, not the other way around. Because we would allow associated grading with any of the permitted use B items.
I also sit on the Conservation Commission now, and I was there for that, and I think they have a good case for a variance. I'd like to introduce something else. I'm probably the only old professor on the board, and 5 years ago, I bought a copy of Land by one of my favorite writers, Simon Winchester. This is a book about the history of land ownership, the history of decision-making at the government or private level about land ownership. And I would like to give to any member of the planning board who would like a copy this book. It talks, among other things, about how much land management or decisions is counterintuitive and sometimes just plain wrong. So if you would like a free signed copy, signed by me, let me know and I'll pass it on. I'm making the same offer to the Conservation Commission and to the Town Council. So, thank you. I can pass this around if you like, if any of you have time to glance at it. Look at the index. So,
Anybody want
Yeah, I'm looking on Amazon.
Later.
to? Yeah.
yeah, later,
Later.
Yeah.
for quiet moments.
All right. That's it for Conservation Commission?
One other thing, we're going to meet next Wednesday, public meeting here, to work on the WSOD stuff.
Okay. Energy Committee met, let's see. They postponed their elections due to not having the people that they thought would be the new officers.
That's the best time to vote.
And they're looking into a CPACER update, which is a state-based thing that program to allow that it's similar to a 79E from the aspect of it's something the town council approves, but then what it does, the town's no longer involved, and it allows commercial entities to get energy improvement loans from a third party. It's a complicated thing, but they're evaluating it before making a recommendation to the town council on whether or not it should be adopted. They are the IR cameras that are being added to the Library of Things at the public library should be getting there in the next couple of days. The people, the last set of folks who were testing them out with the instructions and the guides are now happy with the user's guide that they created. So that should be available. And they also picked up some adapters so that you can more easily download the photos to your own laptop so that you have them for history.
And just to clarify, the IR's infrared cameras?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. The idea is that you can use it to find the hot spots or the cold spots where you're losing energy. And there was a CPC NH update, which they went into. They're concerned because the state kind of helped them dig this hole in that they basically put limitations into how far in advance you could buy your electricity contracts. And by forcing them into 6-month contracts when they wanted to do longer contracts, it forced them to buy electricity at higher rates than they could have. And that's part of the reason why their rates have been going up. So they're defensive. They have a right to be, and that's about it. They decided that they're not going to be planning anything for Earth Day, but that they will focus on doing stuff during Durham Day, which I guess hasn't been scheduled yet. Any other committees? Okay. Public comments.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth LaRocca. I am a resident at 10 Britton Lane in Durham. And I'd like to just say a few words, if I may, Mr. Chairman, regarding the 50-foot building height now allowed downtown. I'm a UNH grad. I won't tell you what year I graduated, but I grew up in Newmarket. So going to college in Durham didn't seem like that big a deal to me. But it sure did to the out-of-state kids whose parents spent a pretty penny sending them here. I went to Wisby. I was in a sorority on Medbury Road, and a lot of the kids were from New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and they were raving about the beautiful campus, the beautiful brick buildings, the trees, the walkways, and the quaint downtown. Times certainly have changed, and despite the best efforts of our business community and our municipal leaders, our downtown has seen better days. As our planning board and other town officials grapple with the many challenges associated with the redevelopment of downtown and economic development in general, I hope you will all keep in mind the importance of aesthetics and Durham's sense of place as a host community for our state's main university campus. I worked for 4 decades for PSNH, now known as Eversource. 30 of those years were in economic or community relations and development. That meant economic development, meant meeting with people like Michael and Todd. I met with Todd when he was in New Boston as the town administrator there. And I served on board of chambers, was president of the London Dairy Chamber. I was on the Manchester Regional Boston Airport Authority, Historic Association president, historic commissioner in Manchester. And one of the many things that we specialized in, particularly for Eversource, was economic development, because Eversource could not move its service territory. It's the state of New Hampshire's economy, the economy of the local communities was Eversource, was everything to Eversource, because the success of our communities meant the success of the company. So, my thing for most of my career was community relations and development and redevelopment and historic preservation. Now, as I worked around the state, one town stuck out in particular, and that was the town of Bedford. And their town planner for many years was Karen White. Unfortunately, Karen is no longer with us. She was a stickler. She was known as a stickler as the planning director. They were very particular about their history as a farming community, about the architecture, about redeveloping their historic barns, their historic homes. She was worried about external lighting, landscaping. As a result, when I moved to Manchester, it was 1980, everybody was getting married and moving into homes, out of apartments and into homes. Everyone wanted to move to Bedford, and everybody kind of did that I worked with. Many of them did move to Bedford. The town is built out, essentially. And people moving in attracted the builders. That town is doing so well. It used to send their kids to West in Manchester High School, Manchester's West High School. They have their own school. They're well off to this day. Everybody wants to live there. And why? Because it's a quaint, well-developed town. And so I know it's really difficult, and I know how many hours you folks spend, because that's what I did. I spent many years on boards, all kinds of them. But I think it's really important that we think about our history and our place here in New England as a quaint New England town. And I hope that you will pay attention to things like aesthetics and our historical buildings and keep them top of mind as you talk and work with developers. I know it's a challenge, I understand that, but it's important. And if we keep it beautiful here, people will move here and people will want to develop here. So anyways, thank you for your time, your attention, and for the many hours that you spend on the planning board for the town of Durham.
Thank you. Ma'am, can you spell your last name for our minutes?
I certainly can. It's LaRocca. That's spelled L-A capital R-O-C-C-A.
Thank you.
Good evening, Robin Mower, Britton Lane. Tonight we gather in the council chambers with the town council go-ahead for 4 stories and a 50-foot height limit, with 5 stories perhaps coming down the pike. I have several times made clear my concern for the approach chosen by the Housing Task Force, the Planning Board, and 5 members of the Town Council. That approach appears to some of us to throw open the gates without the scaffolding of robust planning. But please don't get me wrong, I absolutely agree that we have an outdated, underdeveloped downtown. I agree that we need to build up and that we must accommodate potential changes such as at 66 Main Street. But I also say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Drawing on recent town council meetings and yesterday's election results, we appear to be a community torn by different concerns. I spoke at the February 16th meeting of the council about my belief that the division is at least in part due to fears that we each have of potentially losing something we value. Trust in government is at an all-time low in many communities, and I hate to see the erosion here, even here in Durham. But I believe that we can begin to rebuild that trust with thoughtful reconsideration of how we can build a bridge between those who believe tall buildings regardless of aesthetics, will deliver a robust tax base and those who want aesthetics above all. I believe that we have already a rusty tool that could help build that bridge, one that just needs to be cleaned up, adjusted, and perhaps sharpened to give us a shot at avoiding mistakes. What am I talking about? Architectural design standards. Whenever I hear echoes of the child in The Emperor's New Clothes, my ears prick up. Thinking I might have misheard, I checked the DCAT recording of your February 25th meeting. And yep, there it was. Near the end of the meeting, Richard Kelly commented that to move along the conservation subdivision revision that has been on your plate for months, the board might find some suckers to do the work for us, like the Concom did for us, right? We just need to, sub some of this out, but something needs to occur. So I stand before you as one of two suckers, not to face down the conservation subdivision regulations, but as one of two concerned citizens who have already dedicated hours to reviewing the architectural design standards, mindful that the planning board plate is indeed overflowing and that board members may be disinclined to wade through the minutiae of the standards. I also want to go on record on 2 points. In 2012, as a town councilor, I recognized Durham's vulnerability to development of questionable aesthetic character. So I strongly urge the council to support the development of architectural design guidelines. Councilor Jay Goose and I both stressed the advantage to having such guidelines or regulations for the benefit of both our downtown and developers. Fast forward to today, and I believe that we need a complete overhaul and simplification of these standards to benefit both the community and facilitate work with potential developers. It would be useful during that process to refer to what our neighbors have in place, particularly in those towns whose built environment aesthetics we appreciate and where we are seeing new development. Some of our neighbors have chosen to incorporate standards into zoning ordinances. Some neighbors choose to adopt regulations that are very slim and/or very broad. However, I'm here tonight only to urge you to address a mere handful of key points on which the standards need urgent updating. Beth Olshansky will bring those details to your attention. You may think we are the Bobbsey twins, notwithstanding our decidedly different hairstyles. But I assure you that we have had decidedly vociferous disagreements. Nonetheless, I believe that what we are suggesting in the draft that Beth sent to Michael, and now in your hands, provides a good basis for your review and discussion. I also believe that Beth's and my 40-plus hours of work will make that review easier for both you and Michael to move forward on this expeditiously. To conclude, I'd like to think that Durham can both set high expectations and encourage investment in this community. Let's not set the bar too low, but let's also move this thing along so that we have a better shot at getting what we'd like to see and not miss the window to accomplish that goal. Thank you.
That was quite an introduction. Beth Olshansky, Packers Falls Road. So first, I want to just say I think we all want the same thing, which is a fabulous, great downtown that we're all going to enjoy living in and having other people come to. I wanted to take a few minutes just to explain how you happen to have that draft before you, with my name associated in it, and what my goals or objectives were. So last December during the holidays, because of family flus and whatnot, my holiday plans fell through, and I decided what better thing to do than to look at the architectural design standards. Now, call me nuts or an engaged citizen, or maybe a sucker, I don't know. But with all the discussion and focus, and now really the ability to incentivize development downtown, it seems like this is an important next step. So I thank the chair and everyone for putting this on your agenda. So I did spend many hours during that time. I found the standards outdated in that it talked about 5 districts instead of 6. It didn't have the pending new height regulation changes, et cetera, and needed a bit of wordsmithing. But I also knew that this was Michael's baby. I wanted to be respectful of the work and care that he put into it. So I didn't go into this trying to make it my own. I went into it thinking about cleaning it up, making it more user-friendly for the board, for developers, for citizens of Durham to understand. So clarity and vision. I brought a rough draft of that to Michael in early January. We spent like an hour and a half going through it. You know, most of my proposed changes he agreed with, and the couple that he didn't agree with, I removed. So I felt like we were working cooperatively on this. Then when I looked at it, I realized, you know, it wasn't in planning board speak. It didn't have the famous red crossouts and the blue inserts and this and that. So I spent quite a bit of time shaping it so it'd be easy for you guys to look at. And of course, I called in Robin because of her reputation throughout town as being an excellent writer and editor, and I just knew that she could help refine the document. And you're right, we had she's right, we had a lot of animated discussions as we went through there. I want to point out that about 90% of the changes in that draft are non-substantive, just cleaning up punctuation, wording, trying to bring clarity to the language that exists. There are a few places where I think you'll find a shall instead of a may, the idea being, you know, let's put some teeth in this thing. And there were a few terms we added to the glossary that were in the document, but not in the glossary. One of the biggest changes was adding the concepts, architectural concepts provided by Doug Banks and Michael to the town council. So during late summer, fall, when the council was discussing 4-story changes, how to keep Main Street human scale and still have those 4 stories, and what architectural devices could be used. And so some of those were the idea of the setback or the pitched roof, so that 3rd-story eave line, when you're walking down the street and look up, it looks like 3 stories, but there's really a 4th one up there. So just respecting the concepts of human scale that are in our standards and in our master plan. I'll also point out that between the summer and now, when this issue has been discussed both at the planning board and at the town council, there were at least like 350 citizens who had signed letters in support of concerns about what Main Street would look like, you know, urging for more modest heights and pitched roofs with dormers to have that more human scale type look. And then you received a petition of almost 150 residents urging for the 50 feet, but also recommending and acknowledging that our design standards were going to be important. It's not just about tall buildings, it's about, as was mentioned earlier, aesthetics. And I'm pleased that Ms. LaRocca talked about how important those aesthetics can be to the economic vitality of a community. So I hope that we can all take advantage of this opportunity. There's huge community support to see something a little more robust and to get it done rather expediently so that our community can move forward with our vision and set the stage for creating attractive, vibrant, economically viable downtown and a Main Street that we could all be proud of. So thank you for your time, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Anyone else? We still have nobody on Zoom?
No hands up.
No hands up. All right. Not reloading.
So we're going to move on to
We will move
item 8.
Item 8, yes. Public hearing for amendment to allow electric vehicle charging. Proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow electric vehicle charging facilities in all zoning districts. Purpose here is to have a public hearing and potentially initiate the amendment.
I move to open the public hearing.
So move. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are opposed? All right. Is there anyone here to speak on the EV charging ordinance?
Hi, Mike Lehrman, Cedar Point Road. Making it very clear, I'm here as a former member of the Energy Committee only, and just want to endorse, please, go ahead with the charging.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Then I move we close the public hearing.
Second that.
Seconded by Heather, moved by Julian. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, we all good with it then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Then I will move to initiate this amendment to the town council.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Richard. Any further discussion?
No, I think it's pretty clear.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes.
7-0.
7-0. All right, and now we're moving on to what the original agenda has as item 10. Architectural regulations, discussion about possible changes to the Durham architectural regulations, Article 2 of the site plan regulations. All right, so then during public comments, we already sort of had an introduction to the purpose of this item being on the agenda. Was there anything you wanted to add, Michael?
No, thank you to Robin and Beth for all the time you put into it. I've looked it over. I think the changes are very good. I appreciate it. I would disagree with a handful of them, I'm sure. If it's okay with the board, I would suggest that I bring something back to you for your April 8th meeting for you to review, and I'll incorporate their comments as appropriate. I'll mark it up so everything's very clear what they have and what my suggestions are. And I don't think it's, going to be a lot of work.
Well, I think we need to have more of a discussion first.
I don't know, it seems like it would,
Well,
normally we go page by page by page,
Just to make sure we all,
before we even go page by page by
Yeah.
page, I think we need to step back for a second and look at the broader picture.
Indeed.
During the public hearings, many people, including Beth, exalted the look that Exeter gave us. And we've always heard the things, let's take a look at what they're doing right and try to adopt what we can. So I went and took a look at Exeter's architectural regulations. They're all of 2 pages long.
Thank you.
And, if I'm a developer and I want to talk, I'm thinking of talking to Durham or I'm thinking of talking to someone else, and I go and I say, oh, it's 30 plus pages versus 2 to 5, I could go talk to the 2 to 5 and we won't even bother talking to Durham.
It's 40 pages.
That's the one with the amendments probably and the changes, yeah. They always stretch it out longer. But the original is 37. So I then went and talked to a few professionals I know, and one architect said, these are nice if it was for a historic district, right? In a historic district, this level of detail makes absolute sense, but for your entire commercial zone, it's overkill. The term he used was, it's Disney. Where you're trying to make something new look old, even if it's B, and you shut the door on anything new and modern. So I think we really need to be resetting our expectations of how detailed these should be I'm not saying get rid of them, but I'm saying we need to sort of maybe scale back what we're asking for, at least, and where we're asking for it. So that's my statement. Other thoughts?
I have some thoughts, and I'll start with one of three. Richard, I believe you and I are the only people who were on the planning board when all of this came forward. Do you remember?
I don't recall, but yeah.
Okay.
I probably was.
Then you may not remember, and none of you heard this from me before, but let me call your attention to page 15. It's in the middle. It isn't actually marked, but we have two pictures, the old brick courthouse and the Hamilton Smith House, the red tower. And these two pictures appear twice in these documents, and on page 15, they appear under the heading appropriate. Now, at a planning board meeting, 15 years ago, I guess it was, or 12 years ago, I took the opportunity to channel an old timer in Durham, and this will only take a minute. And the first thing I want to say is this red brick courthouse, this red brick commercial building, two-story commercial building. I just hate this. This is a town of white clapboard houses. They're square or rectangular. This sad example has 3 stories. Oh, worse. It's got a rounded front. Oh, and it's brick. So that was an objection. And then the same person shows up for the Hamilton Smith house. Ham Smith, nice fellow, came back very rich from raping the landscape in South and Central America with hydraulic rams washing away topsoil to get to the silver, the gold, and the copper. And what has he done with his ill-gotten gains? He's come to Durham and he's taken a perfectly good colonial-era house, white frame house, and he's painted it red. And not only that, he's added rooms on the side with windows and so on. And worst thing of all, he built a red tower in the back with a dance hall on top. And you know that what happens when people go to dance? Well, the world just goes to hell in a handbasket. Okay, so I did that once before, but it was more than 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So I won't do it again. Okay. Does anyone else have
I seem to remember that now.
Now you remember.
Yeah.
I'll have something else to say later, but I'd like to hear from others.
To Paul's point, I kind of like the verbose and the bulk of the document.
Okay.
I especially like I find the photos really helpful. This is what we like, this is what we don't like. And I think that architects are constantly finding new takes on older styles. And typically it involves materials more than anything else, but I'm encouraged by them. That's just my opinion.
Anyone else?
Just with regards to the general length of the document, yeah, I find the pictures really helpful as someone who is not an architect, but also if you think about it, if you removed the pictures, you'd cut easily half the length of the thing. So it's not nearly as long and daunting as it may seem when you see it's a 40-page document. It's a 40-page document with 20 of those pages being pictures.
I think also some of the document is actually just saying what we have now, which really isn't an architectural standard. It's just saying this is what's there, right? Because here you go to page 9, Churchill zoning, and right away it just talks about, you know, our churches and the style that we have now. So is that necessary in there? I don't know, because there's, you know, you're looking at one block to the next block, and do they both need to be described so that they're separate from, you know, 2 blocks away? So you could shrink some of it by taking some of this is what we have today, and really focusing on, you know, what we want to see across the board. And that would shorten it, but you're right, I like the pictures personally.
Here's an idea. Make an appendix. Make the make the standards short and sweet. This is what you do here, this is what you do here,
And then
this is what you do
reference.
here. And for examples, see appendix. And then there's your pages of pictures of what works in the town, what looks good. And if you want to go through them, you can. If you just want a 3 or 4 page standards document, you've cut it down.
So the length of the document doesn't bother me at all. I think it tells a story, and the story is about here's the direction we want to go, here's where we're at, here's other examples of things that we see around that we like and admire, and we're shooting for it. It doesn't require all of these things dead on, so if somebody's creative and smart, they could have a new take on it, or they could say, hey, I've got something else that's different than this, and we might say, wow, that's really great, we never thought of that. So I've built in a whole bunch of communities, sign ordinances, different ordinances that the towns have, and it doesn't throw me at all to see a document of this length and say, oh, okay, I'll read it. I think the pictures say a lot more than words can sometimes. So the length doesn't throw me at all. This exists as it is right now, so we're required to follow it. I think the changes on here make sense, and I don't see anything that throws me as controversial. The only thing is maybe we could wrestle with what's the exact definition of human scale, and that's going to be quite a while, I think. So I think these changes make sense. We could, tweak them a little bit. Michael could play with it. We could have a document done pretty quickly, and then over the next, we could public notice it, and we're saying, this is what we want. We want to drive activity as soon as we can downtown. As a developer, this is just one of many pages that they'll have to read. If you go to a government project, you're going to have a stack of specifications 6 inches high that you got to fight your way through. So this doesn't strike me as out of line at all. And I support making these changes, and let's get some feedback. And it doesn't lock us in. We can still play with this and get it adjusted. We're going to do the public hearings. 2 pages sounds good, except for the fact that 2 pages invites a million more questions. Like, what do you mean by this sentence? We kind of get into that by detailing it, showing pictures. People say, "Oh, I get what you mean," and I don't think it's Disneyland. I think it's saying, here's the general direction we want, and here's some things that we find unattractive, so please don't bring them to us. They might still bring them and say that's what we're going to build, but at least you have something to say that's not the flavor.
And I think from being on the historical commission, I think that they have a very clear view of how they would like the downtown to look. And I think one of the main reasons is because of the proximity to their historical district. And so I think that less pages they would probably find threatening. And I think that they are probably more happy with, they want, and I don't want to use the term Disneyland, even though I think Disneyland is a really great place, and I wish every downtown could be that, and I think every downtown should be able to break out in song and dance, but
If only we were doing that these days.
but I think that look, and it may be new buildings that are made to look older, but I think that it just gives them a better, I think they'll accept it more easily if, and feel more secure in any changes we do downtown with height, because they are very concerned about the height. But I think if we are pushing downtown to really make sure that the buildings are fitting a certain look, and it may be a look that Durham is saying, this is what Durham looks like, and a small colonial town, and that's what we look like. And I think that I have no problem with how many pages. I wish it was shorter, but I think there isn't a lot of explanation, and I agree with Rob that less can probably bring more what ifs, and I think we'll get a lot of yeah buts from the community if we go too short.
I think we end up shutting down a lot of creativity by getting too specific in a lot of places.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate everything I've heard, and I'll be brief because I want to come back to this whole issue. Robin and Beth, in case you didn't understand my point, I like the Red Tower. I had a colleague, Helen Hollingsworth, in the English department, who had the entire upstairs. I think it's been subdivided since. I love the Red Tower. I love the garden behind the Red Tower, which is now gone. I like the courthouse. I've been on the board of directors of the HDC. I liked the courthouse when it was town hall, when the entire police station was in the courthouse, when the selectmen met in the courtroom, when the town offices were in the courthouse. So I've seen us move to other buildings. So I appreciate what I've heard, and I want to speak more later. Let's move on.
All right, well, I think the next thing then is, what's going to be our course of action then? So we've had one course presented to us. Is that the course we want to follow?
Well, tonight's agenda is somewhat light. What do we hope to accomplish this evening with item 9?
Item 9, I mean, we have a decision tonight, where I think we have to decide whether we're going to bring it to public hearing or whether
It's more work.
it's more work.
Okay, because a page turn was mentioned, and I bet we could easily get through half of this document, because there isn't a lot of changes being proposed here.
It's just language.
Yeah, and that way, Michael doesn't have to change all that much. He doesn't have to come back to us with all that much.
Richard, would you support a subcommittee to do that?
You don't
Look
need
at
a
that?
subcommittee.
Bring
No.
stuff back to the board?
That's not necessary.
I think we could
I'm
just
saying we do a page turn tonight, and I bet we get through
Go through the-
at least 20 pages, maybe more.
go through the red and blue words.
So,
Well, I can't go through, I'm trying to pull Beth's PDF up right now, and it keeps failing.
I got it.
I've got the, well, like I say, it gets 3/4 of the way and then it fails. I have the original version up in a tab, it's clean.
yeah,
You want
We
a
got
hard
it.
copy?
Well, there's some whole pages that are like
And did you
the
give me a hard
CB1,
copy?
CB2 redefinition.
I have
and-
a hard copy here.
Yeah, we have a
and-
hard copy.
And some things that are just like, yeah, right, okay. And then other things that,
And there's some blank pages.
there's some things that we can just say, yeah, or we're going to wrestle over one exact word.
Standards,
Where-
regulations.
Are there things
All
that
right,
people
so
find
let's see.
controversial?
Let me see, how many people are interested in doing a page turn tonight? 2, 3. All right, let's do a page turn.
okay, I just have one question. So we have two documents here. Is this just the original? And
That's the original.
And this one is just the original
And then
with
this
its edits done in the green and blue like
Right,
like
yeah.
these two.
by Beth
Because
Robin.
Beth did it instead of you. And
Yeah.
it's-
We don't have their name on it.
Really-
Would have been nice to have.
Yeah, so it's,
Got it. I just want to say I don't need to look at this one at all. I don't have to page turn
No,
two.
just that, no.
Oh,
Just the yellow, the colored one.
Correct. Okay.
This is 40 pages. Are you suggesting we do 20 or do the whole thing?
Let's see where we go.
Let's
We'll
see where we end up.
We'll get some momentum. Let's go
Well, let's go.
for till about 8:45. How's that
and
sound?
maybe the caution is concede on something you don't really want to fight about some particular word.
If you don't want to die on that battle, don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Die on that hill.
I'm happy with the change on page 1.
I agree with Dave.
So I actually have a question on page 1. Are there
This is the way it goes.
legal, and this is a legal question, and I don't know the answer, is there legally a difference between regulation and standards, and do we need to have one or the other?
It's pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't have a problem.
That's a good
Question
question.
asked,
Architectural
answered.
design standards, architecture regulations, same thing.
Standards just sounds nicer.
Oh, it does. I
Standards is
I
always
agree, I
preferred.
just didn't know if that meant that, I mean, I know regulations have
Yeah, I agree that
I mean,
so
we have
maybe the-
ordinances and we have regulations, and I didn't know. if it needed-
Regulations is probably somewhat preferred because there's no question. Standards is regulations to distinguish from guidelines, which are recommended where standards are required. So you can use standards and regulations, Or you could just use regulations because there's no question that they're required.
Yeah, I just didn't want us hamstringing ourselves into something that
Yeah.
had no teeth.
Well, it's
Standards and
called-
regulations appears on many pages, so are we happy with standards?
Yes.
Moving
I
on.
don't
care.
care. My heels.
I don't see anything on page 2 that I object to. I would accept all those changes on page 2.
Well,
So would I.
Commercial core, without concern.
But I will have, I don't need to be pointing out minor things. I will revise these per your conversation. If there's some minor points that I want to point to, I won't bother you to, I'll put them in a write-up afterwards.
Wouldn't it be better just if we're on that page for you to make the comment, so we don't have to rehash it? I mean, I'm just saying,
Or at
just
least
say it.
identify if you
Just
got
say
a
it now,
problem with
man.
something,
Don't say it
speak
later.
up.
All right, don't use aesthetically pleasing, that's a cliche. Use something
But it's
else.
better than beautiful.
Well, then something else. Don't use
Beautiful is
don't use
too broad.
aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, so
With all due
Michael,
respect.
you're going to
Where
pick
are
the
we?
word, Michael,
Use some
for that.
other
Michael
word.
is,
Support.
why do you even need an adjective there?
Well, maybe you don't.
you don't.
No, you don't. It
Maybe
says
you don't.
produce
You could say
structures
produce
respectful of
structures
place,
that
contents, and
are
tradition.
whatever.
All right.
That are respectful of place, context, and tradition. Yeah, that works.
It pretty
better.
much just
That sounds
says it
good.
without having any of that there.
I just have a quick question on that one, just for clarification, for my own benefit. It says building designs which are indifferent to the defining features of our town. Now, is that indifferent, or should it be more like complementary, or whatever as part of?
No, indifferent is negative. So it's saying that building designs that are indifferent, that are not responsive, we're trying to avoid that.
Okay, got it, thank you.
And, all right.
All right, so we have one change so far, is that correct?
Well, under B, we were looking at B, adherence to these regulations. I think the intent was to cross that out, and standards is taking its place. It says adherence to these
Yes.
regulations.
Middle of the paragraph.
Standards, yeah. it's
You have
the
a red
second
word
sentence
that
should
isn't
be-
struck
crossing
through.
it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Red
Wants
means
to
it
be-
goes away,
Right.
period. Yeah. If it doesn't have the slash,
Oh, it still needs,
regardless
yeah.
whether it's got a
Not
slash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
a
a
good point.
missed slash.
So we take issue with aesthetically pleasing.
Well, I think the sense was just to remove beautiful and aesthetic, just not have the-
Aesthetically pleasing is very
modify it
subjective,
there.
and I don't think a regulation shouldn't be subjective.
Yeah,
So-
because Michael, you and I we differ on what's aesthetically pleasing when it comes to architecture.
We do.
And I'm surprised that you want to get rid of that because you.
No, that
you
just,
do.
the word is.
We should just get rid of
No,
that.
we've had this battle in the past, and we've agreed that that's
Produce.
something that should not be in regulations.
We're already saying that it's going to be respectful of the place, the context of the area, so I think you've already said it, but, and then you've sort of just doubled it.
Okay,
It
on
makes sense.
page 3, I don't have anything
C
that I object
needs to be updated.
C.
There's a new master plan version that should be referenced.
Uh-huh.
On page 4,
Slow down. Oh, come on.
Oh, I like page 4, going to page 4.
Okay, I'm with you. Thank you.
on E2, it requires a professional stamp. We want a professional architect. We don't need the stamp to look at the drawings
Yeah,
necessarily.
I don't think you need that.
Well, Richard does.
Well, in the end, the drawing's going to be stamped, but it's not like we're not going to look at things that aren't stamped.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be
Right.
It's not a
produced
wet
by an
stamp.
architect, whether, sometimes they don't like to stamp them up front. but-
Yeah.
And how many on the board have taken architecture courses at a major university?
None.
One.
I took drafting.
Same one.
Does drafting count?
I mean, they'll be stamped when they submit their application
They
for
will,
building code.
eventually, yeah.
Because that imposes a
But
cost.
I don't think you need them here.
It imposes a real cost every time you do
Right.
that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
coming
okay.
out?
Get rid of that.
Audrey's not going to accept it for building without the stamp anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the notice of decision always requires the stamp.
Yeah.
Paragraph 4 there, it just has it sounds a little odd. It says the basis for any waiver granted by the planning board shall be stated clearly and recorded in the minutes, and the board may only grant a waiver only if.
Oh, there's an extra only.
There's an only, just decide where you want your own.
Oh, yeah, the board may grant a waiver only if it
Yeah, so
defines.
take that one only out.
So what page is that?
Page 4.
Page 4,
Page 4.
paragraph 4.
That's why you got the on page 4.
Just lose the first only?
Yeah.
But are we on to 5 now?
Yes.
Or is there more on 4?
There's only a paragraph 4 there. Oh, you're talking about
We're on
page
page
5.
five.
Okay,
Ready
sorry.
for page 5?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so the first sentence of page 5.
Strict conformity?
Are we the ZBA? I mean, this is...
You're right, yeah. That's the same
We
language,
should be
yeah.
open to waivers that even if they don't pose an unnecessary hardship, if they're a good idea.
Right, right. So you may want to eliminate the two I and double I at the bottom there. Because this is the same, as I recall, this is the same language for a variance, but this is different. But as I recall, I think the board wanted that language because it was specific, but I'm not sure it's appropriate because it really comes from the variance language.
When I read that paragraph, it seems like we're open, though. We're saying the waiver wouldn't be contrary to spirit and intent of this. Okay, if it's a good idea.
No, except in the very first half of the sentence, you don't even get to that part you're looking at if there isn't an unnecessary hardship that can be proven by the applicant. And, I mean,
Why would we be doing that, you're saying?
yeah,
Should
why
be
would we only entertain a waiver if it creates a hardship when we should be, I mean, Mr. Kelly likes to be dazzled.
Well, the language...
This basically says, don't dazzle me.
Well, this language is up to, on the top of page 5 where it's blue standards, everything before that is verbatim from the state. So we need to have that, but you can delete everything after standards, which might be wise to do, because...
Where are we starting?
Yeah, so up to here, this is just verbatim from the state. This is extra. You could delete this if you want.
So we need,
So we're only allowed to grant a waiver if there's an unnecessary hardship?
Yeah, it's got to be either
See,
A or B.
that becomes another reason why I think we have to be careful about exactly what we require.
No, what this says is, on 4A, it says specific things on the site is a good reason for a waiver, and then the very last part of that is in or strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship. So
Yeah.
if there is an unnecessary hardship, then, hey, we're open and it wouldn't be contrary. So we're actually, by having that in there, we're saying, if somebody just wants to argue that, it could be the site doesn't give them any constraint, but there's an unnecessary hardship, whatever that is. That looks to me like
Okay.
the or is what carries the second
Yeah,
part.
that's per state, but do you want to keep the stuff at the bottom about defining hardship or not? The I and the double I.
I thought we were going to drop them.
You can keep it or not.
It doesn't alarm me.
it just explains,
I think that I think we're going to see this again soon, because I'm going to be bringing it up, in that I find it helpful when those conditions are defined for us. So I'm going to be proposing something along those lines with the overlay districts and what we allow in there and how we define hardships there. So I don't take issue with it, Paul.
No, I mean, if we have to keep the first part of B, then the rest of it all makes sense.
Yeah, and would someone be arguing, like, could I argue, no, that
No,
is a necessary
It's as
hardship?
Rob pointed out, is, I see A and B, and I was thinking it was an and.
Oh,
But if it's an
Yeah.
or, then the A can,
yeah, it makes sense.
so,
It's fine.
Page break.
all right, thank you.
We're leaving it?
Going on to F.
All right.
Yeah, just leave it as is, as proposed with the request.
That one was really crazy because it was, you had the page split right there.
I agree.
I don't have any objections on page 5 or 6.
Do you think it's worth putting every word in here that's included in the definitions in bold throughout the document? Isn't that kind of distracting and unnecessary?
Yeah,
Is that what it's?
it's one thing if it's a hyperlink to the definition because you're reading it online, but as a paper, but that's not what this is doing, right?
Information, just real quick thing, just wanted to note that Portsmouth ordinance does bold words that are included in their definitions list. That's just an idea that we wanted to bring to your attention.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, the meaning would mean, if it's bolded, they like, oh, I can go find the definition somewhere, so
It matters.
yeah. I
So-
mean, it does
Do we
make
say
sense.
that?
Here's
We should probably say that.
here's the, so the problem I have now with G is the CB1.
Where are we?
So we're off of page 5?
G
I think
would
we're on-
be
I'm-
on
yeah, I
page
moved on.
7.
Page 7.
It sounded like everybody was good with page 5 and 6
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
got
it's nothing.
nothing. When I look at CB1, I see two different zones when it comes to an architectural style. You've got the area that is around Main Street and Pettybrook, and then you have Garrison and Madbury,
They're different.
and they're two completely different styles.
They could have the same type.
But I don't think
But-
we're not saying you gotta, it feels like there's leeway in all these examples of a lot of these pictures. We're kind of just loosely defining, here's what downtown looks like, but then there's variance among every building proposed. It doesn't feel like we're saying, in this zone, you can only do X.
Yeah, are there different architectural standards for CB1 than anything else?
Yeah, well, yeah, because, I mean, they're,
Well, first of all,
That's what the-
I'm not saying existing aesthetics, I'm saying actual standards in this document.
isn't that what
Central,
isn't that what this section does,
but
really,
this is
right?
just.
This is just an overview of the districts. Like, I'm trying to understand it, are they meaningfully different?
Are we defining between CB1 and CB2?
It's just kind of, these paragraphs really just present the flavor of each district.
It is the overview. We are, don't lose
All right.
sight.
Yeah.
that, To your
Okay.
point, we're looking at the
Yeah, we're still in the
overview of zoning
overview.
districts.
Right. And so, yeah, it's like, obviously, all of these zones have lots of different types of buildings. And I guess where I'm going is, if this is just an overview, like, so what if they have lots of different types of buildings?
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
Now, on page 9,
Everybody good jumping up to 9?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Oh, actually, I'm sorry to do this to you, Rob. I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
Back us up onto page 8 again. And C at the top of the page. Design and placement of the windows, which is fenestration.
Yeah,
that-
that's the name for it.
Yeah, it is.
I don't
It's
see that in
fenestration.
bold, I'll tell you. And boy, this guy,
Excuse me, we didn't bold all the way through, we just wanted to give you an option
I
at the
see.
top.
That would be based more on the Latin.
yeah.
All right,
But
so-
I'm fine with it, because it really defines
Popular in
itself right in
Russia
front of
right
it.
now.
Right, but, and since you bring that paragraph up, it's talking about the ideal prototype of the zone, which is sort of what I was beginning to get at. If this is the ideal prototype of the zone,
Yeah.
then, is a three-story brick building like the ones below, I don't see a three-story brick building going in on Garrison, really. It would be out of place. I mean, well, maybe not, but I wouldn't call it the ideal building for up there or along Madbury Road.
I don't think anywhere so far, we haven't encountered a place where we say this is the required. It doesn't use the kind of language that says you have to put that Stores Connecticut building here. It just says, here's an example. But on page 9, it does say, all redeveloped or new buildings shall adhere strictly to these standards. And that's where the question for me is, what does that sentence mean? Particular care should be given to the redevelopment of Main Street as it serves as the face of the community. All redeveloped or new buildings should adhere strictly to these standards. What does adhere strictly mean?
Recommend, I would not include that second sentence. There's enough strength in here throughout and judgment for the board. I would not include something, such a strong statement as that is just, I think, going to arouse real concern.
And I don't know what I'm adhering to. What's the exact thing I'm adhering to? If it said every building's got to be pink, then okay, I got to adhere to that.
Yeah, I think that the tone of that sentence is at odds with the tone of the rest of the regulations.
Yeah.
So I would delete all redeveloped shall adhere strictly. They have to adhere, but you get to use your judgment.
All right.
So you're just getting rid of the word strictly, or that?
We're
No, the
getting
second
the
sentence, all
last sentence in
developed or
blue,
new buildings shall
starting
adhere
with all
strictly.
redeveloped.
Well, they should be adhering to them.
Well, but they have to. There's
Yeah,
a
they
lot
have
of
to
language
anyways.
about that throughout.
Later on, we talk about where this applies, and I think that's where the sentence should be, where we describe how do you apply this, baby. I don't have any changes on page 9
I
besides that.
do. Page 9, Churchill District A, the last sentence in 2A, the rural past is evident in the number of barns and outbuildings that have survived. The barns and outbuildings in the Churchill District are not associated with rural uses. They're associated with domestic and commercial uses. There were livery stables all along Main Street when I first came to town, and where the plaza was a filling station for horses. It was a wet meadow that where horses were let out to graze before the arrival of the automobile. And as for the Sullivan House and the Frost House, these were not rural families. These were major property owners involved with shipping, et cetera, et cetera, et
You're
cetera.
you're right.
Just kill the word
Yeah,
rural.
rural's not the right word.
Just
Would you
knock out
just delete it or
the
substitute
past.
something?
Just
the
the
past?
past.
All right,
And they have survived.
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Delete rural.
Yeah. I did convert one rural barn into a house for my family, and I took down a barn in Concord, near the center of Concord, moved it to Durham and put it up. That's where the Frokings in Wickline live. That was not a rural barn. That
All right.
was a stable.
I don't have any changes on page 10 or 11.
So what are we doing on 9 after all of that?
Oh, just
Getting rid
delete
of
the word rural.
And the word strictly?
I see the past is
And delete
evident.
that sentence.
Well,
Sentence,
all development.
No, the rural past, the word, that adjective, it needs to be replaced with another adjective.
Julie, what
And then
word would you-
someone else, you work on it or you get in
Well,
touch with
does it
me.
does it need an adjective?
We're just going to
It's the
say
past.
the
The
past.
past,
It's a
the
particular
past is
kind.
everywhere.
You're right, it's a particular kind of past.
Yeah,
I don't know, is it?
there is specific
In-town
non-rural
agrarian, I
past.
don't know.
Right, it's not
This is the path we don't want to go
1960s.
down, wordsmithing like that.
Yeah, all right.
You're going to pick the right
I'll
one.
come up with something.
Maybe we don't even need the sentence.
Yeah,
Do we
yeah.
actually
Come up with the right
need the sentence at the end of that paragraph?
No, we don't.
Ah, there
We've
we go.
delegated that to
There we
Michael.
go.
No, take the
Kill
sentence
the
out.
sentence.
Take the sentence
Just kill
out.
the sentence, yeah, you can do that.
You're not
too.
guilty of the sentence.
You
We
can kill the
can't
sentence
kill the
too.
author of the sentence.
Kill the
No,
sentence.
kill the
I'm
sentence.
just saying, if you can't come up with a good, if you
doesn't
don't
need-
like the
it's
not having an
unnecessary.
adjective and you can't come up with
But
a
yeah,
good
it
one,
is
then the
unnecessary
sentence
because the
becomes
point is,
problematic.
the point is
You've
made by
already
the sentence
described
There's
it
before
actually
already.
not that many barns
Yeah,
around
I
buildings,
agree.
No, there
unfortunately.
No, there aren't.
And
Most of
so
them are
looks like-
actually
All right,
zoned
folks, let's cut
neighboring
this out.
outfields.
I have no changes on page 12.
Wow, you're on.
Thank you.
Where are we?
Wait,
Slow
wait,
down,
wait,
Rob.
go.
All right, everybody else,
Moving
10,
on.
11?
10?
I'm on 10.
Can we do 10?
Back to 10.
We're in- Yes, Richard?
No, I'm just on 10, so I'm just,
There's just not a lot of edits.
I have no problem with 10.
I'm not, so again, I'm not necessarily tied to everything has to be the traditional New England architectural vernacular.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah, no, that's true.
I
The
mean-
intent is to be flexible. In fact, there's some, let me just read
except
you.
that says new development shall be designed.
Okay, well, then talk about
What
it.
if we
Reflect.
change the word reflect? It's not that new development shall be designed to reflect traditional
Where you at?
New England architecture, but.
Page 10,
But
second
complement.
paragraph.
Or to be compatible with.
Or, yeah,
something.
exactly.
compliment is good.
Complement.
Why?
Okay, and so let's, for the sake of pushing this through tonight, as many pieces as we can, if there's a sentence that we want to wrestle with like that, let's just flag it and move on, because there may be things in the later part that are
More so.
more important that we say, golly, this is
I'll work
going
with
to
that.
inhibit development.
Well, when I see shall, and then I see something as tight as that, or something as openly subjective as that.
But remember, we're going to get another edit from Michael that we can all read, and then we still have to do a public hearing and vote, so.
So, yeah.
Well, that's in Church Hill, though. I mean,
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's one-
being
it's
in
one
Church
zone.
Hill,
Yeah.
guess, I just, I
Yeah,
think the.
Church Hill has a very
I
distinct
think the
character.
historic district is going to want it to
Really?
reflect.
Because Church Hill is that Main Street area in front of Park Court, right? It's the.
Yeah, that's
And,
where the
and,
church is.
well, I'm looking at the non-churches.
Red House, the Red Tower. I understand that.
Is the bricks, is the bricks
I mean,
building across
it is-
from Holiday Inn, is that
It-
courthouse?
It is historic, it is in the historic district, and that's
that's
such
courthouse.
an area where I think the historic rules should be in
Oh,
play.
and they do. These don't apply
And
there.
should, and, and,
Are they going to contradict each other?
And then once we get once we get out of that, now we're into the back end of Church Hill, which is, well, I know you got three chimneys.
Oh, you got three
But
chimneys,
but
you
then you
got,
also have the area here, right behind us here, going all the way around. So,
Right.
I mean, it's,
So I
And
there's
think,
a lot
these
there.
descriptions in the front are less important than
the
page
actual stuff.
14, scale and massing. That's where the action
Mostly because these are
is.
describing what we have today, really.
Correct. And it's,
well, no.
But there's a mix.
No,
I know it
I
says
agree with
shall.
you. That paragraph needs to be flagged because of the way the whole paragraph starts, which is new development shall, which
Oh,
makes
yeah,
it in
you're
order.
right. You're right.
So we need to be very careful about what we put behind new development shall.
Okay. Do you all understand why I went up and pointed to the section of Church Hill on the east side of 108 New Market Road. It has nothing to do with Church Hill. This was something, a compromise we reached some time back as we moved things around.
So,
It's not Church Hill, it's a different hill.
It actually
Okay.
does say,
It's
right
not a hill
there,
to die on.
then as an apartment block.
Like Nick's
So-
Bricks.
does anybody have change on page 12?
So did we decide we were just identifying that sentence and moving
Yeah,
on?
we're just,
Okay,
we're just
sorry.
flagging that for future
Okay.
review.
So you guys are getting way in front of me. Well, no,
Well,
that was on page
I'm on
11.
11 still.
All right, so on page 11, the discussion that bothered everyone on page 11 is what? What's
No,
the
it was
problem
page
on-
10.
Oh,
Page 10, second paragraph. Look how it begins. New development shall,
oh.
and
Reflect a New England character, urban act.
Is that similar on?
and then, you know, the reflect the traditional New England architectural vernacular.
I like style better, vernacular just,
But even, I mean, traditional New England style is very different depending on, I think that's a little broad.
I like
Maybe
vernacular.
making it broad is good, but it means that everybody's going to argue if it's not exactly the style they had in mind.
all right. All right, so we'll park that for tonight and
Yeah.
keep the.
Yeah, we're going to park it for tonight.
This is a taste question more than
You know,
anything.
It
'cause-
is, but that's why it would be good to reference numbers on here throughout.
I mean, because it's so subjective that I question why you even bother doing it.
Okay, so,
Once, in
Well,
one
it's
respect.
Page 11.
putting,
Page 11.
All right.
The same thing there, the second paragraph, it's a little more flexible, but there's a lot of shalls there as well.
all the controversy lies in scale and massing downtown. That's where the action is, on page 14J, because this is where people are gonna,
I can barely hear you.
on page 14, scale and massing, paragraph J, is where the places of real debate are.
I agree with Manish, though. Let's flag that
Yeah.
second paragraph on page 11.
let's not jump to 14 yet.
Second paragraph, building shall be placed.
But then it says,
The paragraph as a whole needs
as
to be
practical.
looked at.
All of general
Then it-
character,
then
you
it
mean?
says as
A
practical.
general character?
No,
No,
that,
this should be,
The
but,
paragraph beginning, building shall be placed?
yes, the paragraph beginning buildings shall be placed. Because it gets into things that, what I'm seeing is a little bit of, I think, cart before the horse, because we have other stuff that's going to be coming up that
By
might
saying
make
that
what we're
this is
doing now,
unnecessary?
you know, have to be redone again. All right, so 12, we'll get there soon, Rob. 12 and 13,
what did you decide for 11?
we're gonna.
we'll flag it and
highlight-
we're gonna come back, we'll make sure we talk about it more
Okay.
later.
Anything on 12? 13?
Hold on, I'm looking at 12
Rob,
on
you're
12.
ready for
or 12 on
14.
13.
Can paragraph?
We don't want any levity in town?
Wait, where does it say that?
Oh, it says that everything has to be serious and dignified.
Where does it say, where's that?
Integrity, number 12.
No.
Where on 12?
Page 13, number
Buildings shall possess an overall integrity of character, form, and detail, and convey a sense of seriousness and dignity.
Yeah, that's,
Well, that's New England
And
vernacular.
on H2, it's, however, innovative design is not discouraged, provided it is respectful of context and these principles, which are New England traditional principles, you know, so I think, and that's, I would really be much happier if we put all the prescriptive stuff, what all the shalls for redevelopment be placed together in one section and all the descriptions of these, what's existing, be separated so we aren't mixing the two up.
It does make it easier to work with a document when it's done that way.
Yeah, but like, let's look at that paragraph at traditional idiom. It says, general approach shall express traditional or neo-traditional design. However, innovative design is not discouraged, provided it's respectful of context and these principles. So it's kind of like thus allowing some deviation from traditional. A lot of this has got flexibility. You got some glass cube you want to do that's like super innovative, we would entertain that. And there's the sentence to drive right on through. And Beth and Robin might,
Exactly right.
you know,
That's exactly right.
yeah, there's enough room to drive around here, and it's flexible is the point.
No, yeah. No,
Unless it's just gross.
I'm just trying to be humorous with a point of a lack of humor in that.
Okay. RESPECTDELETE.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Delete respect
Are we,
I mean,
or respectful?
You're on
Page 14.
13, are we ready to move to 14?
Yep.
Well, there's nothing new on 14.
missing
Oh,
photos.
so as, oh, never mind, there is, yeah. So as.
To me, part of the rub of smaller masses, you know, it's on page 15, the center, number 4, smaller masses, break them up, and then they show good examples on the next page in Portsmouth, how they busted up big buildings to make them look like, you know,
All the other little buildings.
they broke up these big masses. And that's kind of, the art of it is take something that's big and give it some dents or tweaks that make it look like it's not one big giant block. And I think that's kind of what we're striving for. We don't want this monolith.
Still on page 15, Michael, appropriate and inappropriate in boxes. Finish spelling those words.
No, that's just on Beth's version. It
Oh,
got messed up.
it's not the version you're working from?
Pictures will be in the wrong places because they were floating.
Okay. By the way, on page 15, that inappropriate building, that magnificent building in the heart of downtown Dover, I like that building.
Oh, it's a great building.
Yeah.
No
And I
question.
think it could become appropriate in Durham.
It's just the size. Yeah.
We don't even have a block that long, so I really don't think we need to debate it that much.
Well, once we have the five-story
Yeah, the
buildings,
blocks are that
we'll start
Okay,
to
so
have room.
page 16.
That's 1, 2, 3,
K1.
that's a four-story
That's where
building.
the argument is, right there.
Where
Page
are we?
Page 16, K1. This is human scale.
Okay.
Proportion is the
scale.
relationship of one dimension to another, such as the height of the building next to the neighbors and height relative across the street. That's putting words around the Doug Banks Eve thing. And I don't know what the answer is to that, because I'm not.
What are you referring to?
Well, the thing is.
Proportion.
Proportion,
Yeah.
and also, do you have a straight up wall with a flat roof, or do you kick back? You know, that's kind of what that point is trying to address there.
But sometimes if you're building,
That's more scale, actually.
but if you have an older building next to an older building and you're just redeveloping building A and you intend to rebuild building B at a future date or somebody else may own it, it's just that when we get into this scale thing, like the old building is going to be short, but the new building's going to be higher. Should we not be allowing the new building? We should, we still need to get the new building in there. So sometimes that scale is
Yeah.
kind of
Well, it all- it-
affected by when something's going to be done.
Those two things on K1, I don't object to, but later on, it
Well-
talks
But does
about,
it-
it talks about how do you do that?
How you
Well,
do it.
and so, as Michael pointed out, though, that those two new items under proportion really are more related to scale, not proportion.
I think,
Because proportion is things within the building itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it also, doesn't it go back to the point, though, when you go back to the monolith, how we want to avoid, wherever that was said, monolithic? To avoid that and have variety,
Well, yeah, that's where I
then
did,
you have to have some difference between them.
I mean, later on, this document celebrates Newmarket, which has exactly what you're describing, Sally, where it's broken up high, low, it's a hodgepodge,
It's all over the place, yeah.
and it's cool.
Yeah, and it's fun, because it
Yeah.
shows different times of different happenings.
Are we in agreement of the big change from proportion to scale? I've got definitions.
You want to just move those two to scale?
Proportion refers to the relationship between different elements in a composition, ensuring that they are harmoniously balanced and visually pleasing. Scale, on the other hand, focuses on the size of an object in relation to other elements, affecting the overall impact and emphasis within a design. In
right.
summary, proportion deals with the relative sizes of parts to a whole, while scale addresses the size of an object compared to its surroundings.
Which is why the two new blue bullets under proportion belong under scale. Because they're referencing things that are outside of the object
Yeah,
itself.
How about if we just
Is
move
there
those
a-
to scale?
Yeah,
I'll insert them in there.
yeah, that makes sense.
And are we still on page 16, or are we still?
Well, I'm a little confused on page,
Do we really need to?
I'm 15. 3 and 4, I got to reread them again, but 3 and 4 seem to contradict each other. You know,
Page 15.
because in the middle of 3, it says, however, a well-designed building with a very simple form, good materials, pleasing proportions, and no subordinate masses is often more, and there's those words again, we'll say preferable to other, and yet in 4 talks about breaking a large structure up into smaller masses, which contradicts the idea that you're not going to be using subordinate. So I'm a little, and it could be I'm just not reading it totally clearly yet, because because of how complex some of these sentences are getting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Why don't we revisit that? They should be reconciled
Yeah,
somehow.
because it's one main block.
Simplify.
And then it says shall be broken into smaller masses. And then designed to be separate buildings. So
Well,
they're
part of the
contradicting
trick
each
of the one main block, you only see one main block at the street level on the first floor. After that, the building might change and get twisted. So if you look at the example they've got of right over in Portsmouth, this is the one with the ice cream store that everybody walks into when they walk through. That building reads as one block on the street, but up high, it doesn't. The
Yeah,
proportions get kicked around,
yeah, see what you mean.
especially when you're striving for commercial on the street.
So where were we going with that, Rob?
I think, I don't, it makes sense the way it's written to me.
Where are we on that?
You're having one main block, but you're going to break it up into smaller design pieces? Is
Yeah.
that kind of what it's saying?
What page was that?
This is on page
Oh, it's on the
15.
appropriate.
And then it creates smaller units.
Subordinate geometric masses
Yeah, well,
appended
like
to
I
it,
say,
such as the roof.
they'll be
and-
flagged. Michael will take a look at trying to
Yeah.
resolve that. But there are, I mean, yeah, the building in Portsmouth is a good example of how a very large building can,
When you're on the sidewalk, it looks like a block. When you're 2 blocks away, it looks like 4 additions that
different.
got globbed together, but they were all built at the same
Yeah.
time.
yeah, of course, I'm very familiar with that street, and, you know, it would fail our human scale test, or at least the one that's being proposed.
Well, it's,
Okay, so if we're on page 17, in the second paragraph of the paragraph 3, then the buildings shall be designed to convey. I just think it gets,
proper proportion.
yeah, so I get
Yeah.
into that paragraph and it goes, high pedestrian, some things are good in this area and vertical proportions are in, blah, 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 central business. Horizontal proportions are compatible with pastoral landscapes and they also evoke the automobile and thus predominantly horizontal proportions, blah, 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 blah. And
It's very pretty.
appropriate only in the courthouse district. And I have absolutely no idea what that says. Absolutely nothing, except it probably came out of a novel that was,
well, that's what it
in
sounds-
mine, it's the detective murderer coming down into a town about ready to figure out who got killed.
Michael, can you
So
look
I
at
don't
that
know.
sentence? Can you revisit that
It
whole
is
sentence?
a
Wait,
bit
what?
Elizabeth
Page 17,
Bennet.
number 3.
It's like,
Yeah.
That's-
I just don't, it doesn't add,
You want me to try to clarify that or simplify that or something?
Or
I want to
delete
figure
it.
out if it adds any
It doesn't.
value.
No, it does, no. It's part of, remember this, we love the
transect?
transect. And the idea is that the closer you get, the more verticality is stressed.
Yeah.
And rural is more the horizontal.
But we're taking.
Okay, you could say that in that one sentence that you just said and not this
all right.
And not
six-sentence
both.
paragraph. Yeah.
All right, I'll simplify that.
Okay.
Yes, good.
Otherwise, page 17 looks good to me.
yeah.
I get paid by the page. I vaguely remember groaning
That's a,
many years ago about the second paragraph under proper proportions. And I groan again. I tried to block it out.
Yeah, we'll
We're on 18.
get it rewritten.
Yeah.
All right, page 18.
I think it's all fine, and I like that. Well, the one thing is about this L2, I think, open decks, I think the police chief thing, I think we just,
Yeah,
Get rid of the
that
police
whole blue sentence under L2 really needs to disappear. I spoke to Rennie Kelly about that.
I wouldn't include.
let's see what the build is. If it's a family
Oh,
apartment
yeah,
on the
that
top
is
floor.
absolutely wrong, that last sentence there.
Note
He's-
that open decks?
Yeah, note that
Delete
open, he has come out and said he never said that.
Yeah,
So delete that sentence?
Delete that sentence.
everything in blue.
No, just the last sentence.
The last sentence only?
We'll start with the last sentence.
It's
and
a
then-
$1 million house on the top of the building. Why not have a deck, right? Because there's not a bunch of hooligans up there.
and they're going to be, they're going to be built, the thing is, decks are built so you can't be stupid.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh, yeah, there's,
They
you
do
you have
build them
safety
so-
code. Safety
yeah.
code manages the decks.
Yeah, okay. So if we can leave out the last sentence, beginning with note,
Yeah.
then perhaps we could encourage in a 3.5-story building or a 4-story building with a setback, that the setback accommodate a balcony or a terrace. This would be very attractive to upscale buyers, condo owners, upscale renters, etc.
All right,
I like terraces.
All
Me
right,
too. I'm good
Yeah.
with note, allow the decks.
allow the decks. Now, I have a question. This paragraph assumes it's a 4-story building. When we have 5-story buildings, how does this paragraph change?
That's
Do we,
happening on the.
do we
just
want
carry it over.
Does the prominent eave line need to stay at 3? Should it go before, go to 4? Could it be either? We're getting a little prescriptive here that for a particular case, and are we going to do another paragraph just for a 5-story building or what?
And maybe, well, why don't you say for a 4-story?
Well, here's
4 or 5
here's
story
where that
building?
comes from.
gotta get that
That
same.
whole chunk is all about the eve line thing. So I think
Right.
that maybe that piece should.
I've
This
been
is about
looking-
height.
I've seen buildings which to my eye all look reasonably the same on the appeal level, that are 5 stories, and some do an eave, a cut line at the 3rd level. It might not be an eave line, but it might be some sort of architectural ledge or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, which serves to break up the thing, and then they have 2 layers on top. I've seen others do it where you have, 2 stories and then 2 stories, or I've seen done a lot of different ways. And so I think the importance is the idea that when you get above a certain height, you do something to mitigate a pseudo eave line. Or generate some sort of cut line there, and it should, whatever we write should deal with anything that's 4 stories or higher.
Well, or do you have to get into the number of stories? That's
You don't
covered
have to.
elsewhere. So these, instead
the top
revise it,
story
these
or something.
techniques shall include
Yeah.
a prominent eave line. And
Yeah.
in parentheses, it could be plural, because
Yeah,
you
move the
just
third
described
story.
having multiple
Yeah.
potential.
These techniques shall include a prominent eave line
Pitched
created
roof.
by a pitched roof.
Or is pitched roof separate? Is it a
Oh,
prominent
okay.
eve line,
A prominent eave line, comma, a pitched roof, comma,
or, yeah,
a setback,
right.
comma,
All
et
of which
cetera.
serve to lower,
So just get rid of the word
Yeah, all
four-story and
of,
say
yeah, all of
top
which
story.
serve to low, that can come right out too.
Top story
Yeah.
done.
Did you
Yeah,
catch
top
that, Michael?
story.
Well, the idea is, this is actually what the council had in their draft, but it was removed. But this is the,
Yeah, we-
prominent 3rd-story eave, and then above either pitched or
Right.
setback.
What we'd like, and what we're saying is, it can be made generic to deal with any building height, not one that's specific to the 4-story building.
Yeah, if you just get rid of those things, so it would read,
Just say top story
Well, but
Yeah.
setback.
you might want to revisit this. You leave it in here for 4 stories, and then if council does 5 stories, come back and add language for that.
No, just put
No.
no, you could say
No,
this, the
it's
I don't want to do it twice.
Okay.
No, the
Top story.
technique shall include a,
A prominent eave line,
Prominent pitched
comma, a pitched roof, comma,
line,
a
yeah.
setback, comma, et cetera.
yeah.
Because there are more.
Any of which
There are
serve to
more
lower.
design techniques than those, but we're given some examples.
got it?
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to keep us, on looking towards the future, not just at point in time.
May I make a quick comment? Just
Please.
please pay attention to the first lines in that paragraph where there's reference to human scale. And Doug Banks has point blank made a statement about the height at which something like an eave line should occur so that you get that sense of human scale. It's not about the 4th story, it's not about the top story. It's a specific height sort of from the street level. And so that would not vary if you had 5 stories or 6 stories or whatever.
So I think the human scale argument is unsolvable tonight.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think the human scale thing, in the interest of like, how far can we get through this tonight?
And we're at
We got
8:45,
3
and we got to page 8, we're on 18.
Pretty close. So human scale is the hot button. Let's
You wanna
wrestle
revisit
through the
this?
rest of it, and
Yeah.
human scale is a unknown final product.
Would you like to be here for the discussion?
Oh,
So we'll pick it up in 2 meetings from now?
yeah, is that all right?
That's all right with me.
Yeah.
But do we want to crank through any more of this?
You may be able to get this done.
We're
tonight.
at,
Yeah, let's keep it
Well,
at it.
we got the housing task force stuff to look at, and we
Yeah.
have the other business item.
I would say go to 20, halfway.
So,
all right,
all right,
just do
we'll
2 more pages.
we'll
and
do
be
2
done.
more pages. Because I will say, the last item on our agenda tonight is probably the most important one. And,
I don't even remember what we added.
because it's going, yeah,
The housing task
It's going to
force
have a-
amendments is,
Yeah,
a greater effect than
Now
this.
then, if
Yeah.
it's-
yeah. If we're not going to
I
get
always
it,
agree adjournment is the most important.
so how about, Michael, you could make all the changes we made so far. You could hit
Yeah.
us with another version of this, and we could do another round of this. It goes fast, and if you look at the back end of this document, there's not a lot that is in there. So we could probably bang this out pretty quick.
You mean for the next time, next meeting, or?
I mean, we could even schedule,
yeah, I'd
schedule a public hearing on this for our next meeting. Get
Get
input
it
on
right, you'll get it right first. Get it precise, but you're close.
Consistency.
Why don't you just go to page 20 tonight?
Well, if we're going to do it, let's
We've
just
already
do
talked
it.
about it for the minutes that we were going to.
All right, so,
Okay.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see if we can do this formally. I move that we go to page 20 and continue discussion later at another meeting. Do I have a second for my
Would
motion?
anyone like to second that? Rob, you wanted to get to 20?
Sure, I second that motion.
Thank you.
Let's push.
Are we going to vote?
we're going to do two more.
All
All in
right, so,
favor?
well, all in favor of finishing up page
Getting to-
20?
through 20.
Could have done it by the time we.
We could have done it by now.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Okay, 19.
All right, we'll move on.
So Michael, take a look at E, lowercase e in that when you're looking at redoing the paragraph on the previous page.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
oh, you're
Yeah,
saying E
okay.
on page 19 refers to the previous page?
Well, we were talking about eve lines and breaking things up, and that's exactly what E is also discussing, but it's in terms of the topmost
Yeah.
story.
Okay, so
Topmost
link
story.
those somehow?
Well, they should be consistent at
Oh,
least,
consist- okay.
because right now they're not.
Okay, right.
And these are listed
So-
as things we shall consider. So
Well,
it should be consistent.
My next, all right, so on that, and keep in mind, you guys who wanted to keep going, if a building is within the height limit of the zone, why are we considering whether or not it's appropriate? It's permitted.
Considering whether.
Because
what's
it's under,
appropriate.
because
The design type?
design
You mean?
standard
It's what it's gonna
review
look
is
like.
also
It's what it's
a
going to look
component,
like.
right?
Yeah.
You're right, Paul. If it's in the zone and it's got 50 feet, it can go there. Then the question is,
What does it
how do
look
we
like?
convince a developer to go in the direction that's pretty? And how do you define pretty this way? And everybody's got a different opinion on that.
It's what
So,
it's going to look
I
like.
mean-
But that's part of the approval process, is just because it's allowed to be there, just because
Well,
3 stories, 4 stories, whatever
gotta
is allowed to
be-
be there,
it's gotta
it's
look
also
right.
got to pass the architectural standards.
Yeah, it has to look
Right.
To get, to actually be able to be there. You can't put just anything in there.
right.
It has to
Paul's
go through a
arguing
design
for
review,
max
right?
flexibility for a developer, I think, is what you're saying.
Well,
And which particular things kind of bending you out of shape there?
Well, we're in a zone, it allows 50 feet.
Are we looking at D, E, F, G?
We're looking at the top page 19,
location.
the opening paragraph. So it's saying, we're going to determine whether or not a building that meets the building height is appropriate in any of the core districts.
No, you're right, you're right. I think, we don't need that there. I think you can delete that first sentence. It's simply that in evaluating the design, the height, the board will look at these elements.
Well, then that's what it needs to say.
Yeah.
You're talking about
Yeah.
taking out the first sentence at the top of page 19.
Yeah, you might delete
see what
that
you're
first
saying now.
sentence or
And what
modify
happens
that.
to the second
Yeah,
sentence?
we're saying,
Does that go
we're
with
going
it?
to, the building height is not what we are determining.
No.
It's the architectural
Right.
styles.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just
that
get
makes
rid of
sense.
that whole
Yeah, so you
thing.
can revise or delete that first sentence or something like that.
Please revise.
And I
Rob
think
revised.
similarly, you need to look at I and J because those both are getting at specifying heights as appropriate relative to their neighbors. And if 50 feet's allowed, 50 feet's allowed.
I definitely goes away. Or else you can never build anything next to a one-story building that we're trying to get rid of.
And then you never build
Well,
anything.
I don't think it's saying that. It's saying greater height is appropriate next to taller buildings, so.
No, so, except that, Rob,
We don't have any.
we've had public hearings where people have said, can you imagine this 4-story building next to Roger Hayden's building?
Which is going to come down.
All the one-stories are out of here.
But
We
would we
can't-
kill a four-story building because it's going in next to Roger Hagan's building?
No, we wouldn't.
No.
And which,
But this doesn't say that, I don't think.
I don't read it that way either.
So is I all right or not?
I looks okay to me.
I'd say no, it's not.
I still say at the height itself cannot be a reason why we fail the design.
It says, because it says greater height is more appropriate next to taller buildings, so
Well,
it's
if you
kind of
have a
leaning.
It is, but that doesn't mean that's not mandatory.
It could actually be the way you argue for fifth story. If you got a fourth story there, you could say a fifth story makes sense here because my neighbor is tall.
And it would break up the monotonous line
Flat
going
line.
across the,
So could I just be height of the adjacent buildings shall be considered? Or should be considered?
well,
Just in the design.
Yeah,
in
like
the
something like
design.
that, where greater height is appropriate, like it's not a mandate that height is a
Well,
deciding factor. but
Except in a
it's-
way it is, because this whole section is led with the following architectural elements shall be considered in determining the appropriate height.
which we're going to rewrite that.
Have
Yeah,
to rewrite that because
That has to be rewritten.
You could say under I, a sense of greater height is more appropriate.
but that's sense of greater height.
You know, meaning that that maybe your
That it feels
mitigating
taller?
elements are not as critical if you're already in a taller area. Well, why don't we just revisit that?
I think we need to revisit the whole page because almost every one of them says the height is generally, I mean, they're all written aimed at the height.
Yeah, you've got
And-
G,
yeah.
of balance of vertical height,
And
H of the scale and the
so
quality of
I
materials.
think
like,
the
it's
whole
all
page
taking
has
that
to
into
get flagged.
consideration.
Well, the
for-
whole,
For deeper review.
the whole, yeah, LL, you know, this is
Yeah,
paragraph
it's
L. The
height.
whole thing is all about height.
Maybe all of L needs to get
Well, oh,
white.
that's right, it did also.
Well, it's important to have methods to mitigate the sense of height, but
Right, but
then how you do that.
Look, so read the first line of L. Note that height limits. We just said height limits aren't appropriate. Height limits are determined by the zoning, not by the architectural standards.
Where are you reading now?
I don't have L.
First
Yeah, you
line
do.
of L.
Keep going.
Hey, it's on page
Capital
18.
L.
Go back to
On
page
page
18.
This is all under capital.
Sorry.
It throws the entire section into question. So I think we're stopping here tonight because we can't go any further.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This-
because it's
Let's think
confusing.
about
All right.
page 19. I agree.
All right. So
I
that
want to
was,
thank all the rest of you for going so diligently through this. So,
Thanks for tolerating my
great.
pushing.
yes.
Great, that was a
All right.
great.
and be even more diligent with the next 20 pages.
All right, zoning, all right, so zoning amendments recommended by Housing Task Force. Discussion about amendments proposed by the task force to expand opportunities for residential development with changes to the table of uses, table of dimensions, and zoning text affecting single-family property, 2, 3, and 4-unit residential, multi-unit residential, senior housing, mixed use of residential, lot sizes, density, setbacks, frontage, and other elements. And I find that a tongue twister. I'm not really happy with that, with our use of residence 2, 3, or 4-unit residents.
Oh, wait, you're not happy with the description in the agenda, or?
I'm going to step away for a few minutes.
I'm not happy with the way we're
back in
defining
1
that
minute.
use or as a title. I think we could do better. I mean,
We were looking at the table.
We were looking at
Is
the
that, so
tables.
that's where we are, right?
yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I mean,
we got the right one.
I mean, I can live with it, but it just seems awkward,
Oh,
that-
which are you referring to?
just the way we word
Oh.
that.
Oh,
Plus, we have residence twice in the definition.
oh, okay.
We have
Yeah.
residence and then residence
Oh,
again at
right,
the end.
right.
So, I
So
mean,
we're not even in the amendments. We're
no,
scrutinizing the description.
it's taken strictly from the amendment. It's right there on the table of uses as well. which, I mean, is there a problem calling it four family? Residence, comma, 2, 3, or 4 family?
Can we use the
We do
word
single
family?
family, or are
Can
we
we
getting
use-
rid of
oh, yes,
single
we
family?
can.
Or is
Well-
family no longer allowed?
No, single family is really the coin of the realm, but we don't use family anymore for 2 family, 3 family, 4. It's only for single family. You could argue, anyway, that's the
All right,
coin of the
we'll
realm,
strike the
just single
second,
family.
strike the second residence.
All right.
So it'll be residence, comma, 2, 3, or 4 unit.
Okay.
Or should it just be 2, 3, or 4 unit residence?
I like
No, it's
residence, because that way it's all
residence,
residence,
family.
comma,
Residence first,
subtype.
okay, yeah.
And, all right. And so this is, this is the.
Well, you went through all the you went
We
through
went through the
everything on the table
table.
of uses last time.
And did we get to the notes?
I think you got to the notes. I think you got to everything. You're starting with dimensions now.
We're doing dimensions. Okay. So, all right, so dimensions. So this is where it begins to get tricky.
Yeah.
And this is where, remember I mentioned the idea that maybe we need a new zone type? You know, I was calling it the R4 because that's what I've seen other towns use, but I've also seen them see a high-density residential used as well. And I think Dover does that, they sort of, they have low, medium, and high-density residential zones in Dover. And I'm feeling like, especially in our RA zones, depending on where they are in town and how small the lots were when each one was laid out, they have different cuts and feels, and I just allowing these new numbers throughout all of RA is, I think, taking a sledgehammer to the problem, and I think we need to be more nuanced.
Oh, you mean yeah.
But to go more nuanced, that means a new zone and deciding where a new zone belongs.
And
Yeah.
So what we have in front of us is what the Housing Task Force said, hey, here's our
Here's some
recommended
ideas.
sizes.
Now, here's was the discussion at the Housing Task Force. The Housing Task Force, half of them were saying, sounds like a good idea, but we're not numbers people. Let's let the planning board figure that out. So these were some brief starting concept numbers to be sent to the planning board for us to flesh out. And confirm that they really make sense and things like that. So this is now no longer, we're ready. The table of uses, they were like, we're really firm on this. But when it got to the table of dimensions, they were like, we're going to let the planning board figure it out. And that's what Heather, Sally, and I said would occur. So this is, we need to think about this one tight and closely.
Well, yeah, especially when it comes in relation with what we want to have allowed. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and so,
multi-unit.
so someone earlier asked, do you think we need a subcommittee for something? This is what I think we might need a subcommittee for. What do you all think?
Oh, you mean to create,
I've been talking enough. I need other people to
On
talk.
the,
so you're talking about RA, RB, RCL, should we actually take some of those and shift them into other, like a
into
third
different
or-
zones?
I mean, so like a maybe 5 instead of 3
If-
in
if-
the
Well,
RA,
give
RC?
give an example
So,
of what you might think for RA.
If I were, what I have in my head would be a 5th residential zone. It's a a higher density residential zone, or maybe it's a mid-density residential zone. It's a transition that becomes a transition zone between the true neighborhoods and the commercial zones.
Where would that
We
be?
steal a little bit of land from the RAs where appropriate, we steal some from the commercial zones where appropriate, and we can make sort of a ring or a barrier of this new zone where we allow 4 families by right, stuff like that. Because, I mean, do you really see 4 family by right throughout all of RA?
No, I think it's
No,
going to cost.
no, it doesn't make
But
sense.
you're right, if you look right by PO, and you might have mentioned it in the last meeting, under PO, but it's actually not PO, is the Davis Court student apartment area. It's not
Yeah.
Davis Court. That area
That's a
could
big
be a
RAs,
perfect space
and
for
the-
multi-unit, because it's already multi-unit, it's old. I don't know if it's still, it's probably fairly popular, because it still has a lot
It's
of great
still
You
parking.
rented.
mean
Yeah.
from the library to the corner
And across the street.
and across
Yeah.
the street?
From Baghdad down till the
So we could-
single-family homes start on
That would be a
side of the street.
potential area, right? Starting at the Davis Court Apartments, and then going down Madbury Road back in towards town.
Yeah,
till
to
you- till you hit
Baghdad.
PO.
Because if you go to Baghdad Corner there at Madbury and Baghdad, all that is it's, you know,
Yes.
3 student housing areas that are dilapidated, and then the apartments.
Right,
So-
and there's
are
other
still well
areas,
kept, so-
and if you go around where the RAs are abutting one of the commercial cores, it's not that difficult to draw out properties that would make sense to convert to this higher density residential zone. And, you know, pulling them either like all the 2 families on Dennison and would be,
Co.
you know, and turning on to Co. would be part of that zone, right? You can, a section, right now, there's, you got the church and a couple of houses on Woodman, right there near Madbury. That's another possible area. You could bring that up, you know, so you could bound the churches with this new zone in that area. I'm not sure where I have, here on Faculty Road, it's difficult, but Mill, the other side of Mill Road, potential area for that, where it abuts on the university property.
Okay, so there's 2 levers, right? Say we just take that piece. There's 2 levers. One is the size of the lot. So are all those lots going to get cut in half? Like what's here is each 20,000 square foot lot gets cut in half. Then you got to decide what's the building you want on top of that lot, and that's where you got to get to the minimum lot area. So
Yeah, under this new zone idea, RA wouldn't be allowed 4 family house, 4 unit thing.
No, you would have,
buildings.
so
I'd cap them at 2, right? I would,
duplex.
my if we were to go with this 5th residential zone, I'd say RA can do duplexes, okay? And whether they go to duplexes or not, that's up to them. But then, and I'd say the same thing with RB maybe. Maybe, you know, maybe we allow duplexes in RB, I'm not sure.
what's the ownership
But
model? Do you
but
want
then this new zone would get all the 4 families.
Do you want the lot to be cut in half?
I wouldn't.
And then you build whatever on the lot?
Where
Or do
we-
you want the lot to stay intact and you go higher on the lot?
Well, I would be saying
Or, you know, double? In other words, you
open
got-
for discussion. Okay, the idea is we're doing infill, so in each zone, what's the best way to do infill?
So,
right?
if I said I didn't want to subdivide my lot, but I'm going to condo it, and I'm going to have 4 townhouse units put on that postage stamp with parking in between. And if I can meet all the setbacks, I can do that without subdividing,
I would hope so.
right?
Yeah. And then that's what you decide, you know,
Then you
you got to
carve
decide what what's the end product you want? Do you want 4 houses in one box or on one lot, or 4 units sprinkled on 4 little lots?
Or do you want to do an ADU? Do you want to do the same lot and put two ADUs on it?
That's, I mean,
That's by right.
that, you can
anyway.
do that now, so.
Not two,
yeah.
only
Well, not
one.
two. No,
Do
you
one.
get the one.
Yeah, so you can get the one, or do you want to say another way to do it, keep the lot intact and put two ADUs? I'm not saying that's the answer, but
They're
it's
all-
another method.
Is there a reason why we
Yeah.
can't have all of the above?
Because ultimately, in the end of this little thought experiment here, aren't we getting the same thing in terms of whether the property line is subdivided or not? We're getting a number of units put on that property.
Right.
Whether they're, you know, condoed and the real difference is whether they end up being, you know, if they're home ownership, do they end up being condos or,
Well,
because if you split them up on separate, then everybody has their own little piece of land, right?
Yeah.
But if you do the four unit,
on one piece, it's condo.
then you end up having to do the condo.
Yeah.
But you know, it does depend on the lot shape.
And the lot shape,
So I think that the fact that you can have some flexibility as a property owner of that lot, for you, it may be better to subdivide it, but maybe that lot isn't going to be able to do that, and you could do something that's more of a condo. Because shape does come into
Well,
play.
where-
Some lots are deep, some are wide.
Yeah.
Where are we considering that? Are we reconsidering not allowing, you said not allowing threes and fours in A, but allowing duplexes, and a duplex is a different ownership situation than, say, even condos. But, so are you saying, where is saying this fifth zone?
Would it be like an overlay
That's what I was kind of thinking of, yeah.
instead?
But what's the difference, really?
Well,
Either-
because we have some neighborhoods that are very, Faculty's a good example, the lot sizes there are smaller. So you get to my area of RA and they're almost all half-acre lots.
But my point is, whether it's an overlay district or whether you're carving out
A
a
new
new
zone.
zone, really, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry
And-
about the color, you can make hash marks on it.
Well, I think-
instead of-
Because it is going to be sprinkled around. If we
Yes,
go with
I think you
new
have
zone or
to.
overlay, it's kind of here and there.
Seems like
It's
overlay,
not contiguous.
overlay would be
Right.
easier.
It would be kind of broken up a
well,
little bit.
it's easier, but then.
Because you can really identify the larger lots there and include them as overlays.
Well, but, or you just include them and put them in a new zone. An overlay and a new zone geographically pretty much have to follow the same rules.
But they're
The
not
difference
contiguous.
is when it comes down to figuring out what the rules are for the particular thing, with an overlay, you're looking at two places.
That's true.
In a zone, it's all in one.
Yeah.
Would- I
And
don't-
a zone can allow you to
That part
put
just
it
didn't
in a more
understand.
transitional area. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just saying, if you've got an area where
Well,
you're
either
kind
way
of
you can do that, though.
transitioning from one to the other.
Yeah, but if you do an overlay, you'll say, oh, I'm in RA, or I'm in Church Hill, and you look at this, and then where's the information for the, but then there's a whole new chapter that says, oh, but I'm in the overlay, and all my rules changed.
You just put it down the bottom note, see overlay area section.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Rob, can I go back to what Rob was describing earlier?
Okay.
Because I don't think individual lots are going to happen in many of these districts, all right? And the recipe would have to be condoed. And I understand condo is still a subdivision, correct?
Yeah.
But we're not dividing up land, and I'll point out why. If we go to page 5 of 6, and we look at the RA, the minimum lot frontage for each of those lots is still gonna be 100 feet. Whereas all I need is 2,500 feet, square feet, right? But I need 100 feet of lot frontage? That's a problem. I can't subdivide
Right.
many of those RA lots up
And
and
that's-
get 100 feet of frontage for each of those subdivided lots.
And so it's like, so does that need, so are you saying, hey, we need to review that number? We did it for some of the other lots. I personally think some of these numbers are still a little high.
In terms of the setbacks and the like?
In terms of the lot frontage.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, if we're looking for a model that's outside of condo, most definitely. If we're looking for subdivided, single residences, and that's the density, how the density goes, then we would have to do that for sure. And the council knows the planning board is good with numbers, right? That's why.
This one will be by the time we're done. The other thing is if we do pork chop, so like we just did over here on Baghdad Road, right? We did that 3-lot subdivision.
Emerson. Oh, the different one.
The one,
Emerson's got
the one by, yeah, down at Baghdad Road and Emerson, where they meet.
That wasn't
Yes.
the pork chop subdivision, though.
Oh, that was
Oh,
a,
right, the one on yeah, well.
that was a 3-lot, whereas
Yeah.
Emerson one was 2-lot. It was
Right, but that
subdivided.
was just adding a right-of-way to a lot that was in the back.
Correct.
Correct.
But the other one, we actually created new lots, and one of them only has a driveway going out to the street. They don't have the frontage, right?
Yeah, I think that was a non-conforming existing lot. That's how they did that.
But it's the whole idea of the pork chop subdivision, right? The pork chop subdivision says by default, the back lot doesn't have frontage.
Yeah. And now,
So that would be the other way around it. You could do the subdivision, but it'd have to be pork chop.
Yeah, now it's all pork chop.
But
is only
then you
allowed
still
in,
have to meet those other setbacks that are there, right?
Right.
And
Which
when
is
you-
going to be tough in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and when you do, if it's a pork chop, does the back lot still have a front setback?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
So
from-
there's a 30-foot setback to the rear setback
Yeah.
of the existing home.
It has to be a big lot, too.
So-
So
Lots.
if you got a long, deep lot.
Yeah.
And
If
you
you
want
got-
to give
right.
your kids a house,
Then you
you're
can
like,
pull it off.
okay.
If not, then you have to do like
Build-
you're saying,
build
which
the
is
ADU.
we're
It's either an
An
ADU
ADU.
or there's condos. Because
Yeah.
if you do the condos now, I only need 2,500 square feet for a dwelling unit. So I can do a 3-story townhouse style
Yeah.
condo unit, right? And I can have 3 facing 3 with the parking in between and may have a chance of meeting the setbacks. But what bothers me most about that is that transforms significantly transforms the nature of the neighborhood.
which is why I wanted, it
Yeah.
needs to be a new zone.
Yeah.
So,
You're going to hit,
And-
you're
and-
going to hit an incredible
But
amount of
may I address,
pushback.
may I address
of
this
course,
concern?
of course.
And when it comes to planning, and I had mentioned to the town council this, it was something that earlier that day it popped into my head, but what Durham needs to be looking at is a Vision 2050, right? Where do we see us growing into, right? And you don't grow into 2050 by saying all of my RA neighborhoods are going to stay exactly the same for the next 25 years. We need to identify where and how we want them, we expect them to change.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the new zone, because we're saying, we want to control our growth. If you want to do the higher density stuff, go into this new
You
zone.
can do it there, but not here.
Stay out of, and the rest of the RA areas, we can protect.
I think that is going to have a better chance of public acceptance than what we currently show here. Because
Yeah.
when we look at this, 5-story in town, wait till you see this, people. And we're talking, you can put, a 4-plex.
In faculty.
Yeah.
That's gonna, yeah, I mean,
On Valentine Hill Road, yeah.
that's gonna hit, I mean, that's just it, we have to try
They all think, oh
to,
my
it
God,
has to
it's
be
gonna happen, but we
digestible,
wouldn't be able to get anything most of
or
the
we're
time.
just wasting our time.
Yeah.
And I think for faculty, that's, I mean, having thought about it, I'm like, man, this is gonna be tough for that one.
I know, those are my class.
Quarter acre lot at 2,500 feet.
I mean, in B, I'm not sure, but I think, but if you do have The idea of, I mean, at first I'm thinking, oh, a whole nother zone, and how are the people? I think our challenge with another zone is taking that geographical area and convincing the people that live there that it's okay.
Or would be considered transitional.
And so it's going to have to be really transitional, and I think there's some setup for that already that wouldn't matter, but I think we're going to, you know, going up Madbury Road, I think there's some places that we could easily do it.
I see less of an argument coming from the property owners who are being changed than I do from their neighbors.
Yes.
It's their neighbors who are going to be the most upset about this, and we see
Yeah.
that already on Kyle Drive.
I think the positive thing that once the board chooses a zone and does that, I think the positive, the other side of this coin could be that the population that's aging would want to sell their property and get a smaller, more affordable, more maintainable house. And I think for the next generation, because housing is becoming less affordable, this would open the doors for more affordable housing in some ways. So that might be, you know, kind of a positive side of what we are.
But we are in agreement, Munish, that affordability aspect of it only comes with the supply. So when that old person sells out, someone else is coming in and saying, I'm putting up 6 units on there.
Yeah,
And
that's what will happen.
when it.
Yeah.
And nobody would
Starts
care
working.
if it was like a really old tired shanty. We'd be like, great, but we don't have too much of that
They're gonna
sketchy
care.
housing in.
They're going to care where it is.
Yeah, well, Julian?
How many members of the board sitting here tonight live in the faculty neighborhood, other than myself and yes? Okay, I've seen the evolution of faculty neighborhood. When I first came, I know you hate to hear this, half the houses didn't exist. I passed around pictures last week of the last meeting of the downtown area where you can see that the faculty neighborhood had not yet been built out. And it is no longer a faculty neighborhood. It was land owned by the university that the university sold lots with covenants that could not be enforced, that the owners could only sell to faculty members at the university, or leave to their children, who could only sell to faculty members. So it has changed. It is not a faculty neighborhood. The zoning, rather the description, really needs to change. And if I remember correctly, the town owns the tot lot in the dead center of faculty neighborhood, the site for a multi-story building. There could be a great big building there with workforce housing, senior housing, all kinds of housing with professional management.
Julian, you used the word evolution, I think, for the Faculty Road neighborhood.
Yes, and evolution.
Well, you used the word evolution. However, other than the change, it's not faculty anymore. And we have more accessory dwelling units.
And more rentals.
And there is some change with owner occupancy. How has Faculty Road neighborhood evolved? I mean, it's not much different, is it?
It is different in terms of who lives there. And most of the property owners, except some old timers or their children, are not faculty members. So,
Okay.
but I haven't gotten to my real point.
Well, then please get to it.
I have not gotten to my real point.
Please
that the faculty neighborhood is convenient to the central business district. It's convenient to the university. It's convenient to recreational facilities. It right now is underdeveloped, under-evolved.
Would the residents agree with that?
Some would and some would not. But our job is not to ask, except at public hearings, what people will accept. And we know from experience that people come to public hearings and object to certain things, and the planning board, the town council, et cetera, end up voting the other way. So I have friends in faculty neighborhood I know don't want to see any change. People on the street on which I live.
So what's the
don't wanna
point,
see
Julian?
change.
I gotta cut you off here, because,
Okay.
was the point
Then
that
if
the
I haven't
faculty
made my
is
point
comforting?
clear,
You haven't.
then I don't know what I have to do to make it clear. Faculty neighborhood is in need of redevelopment.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank
Moving
you.
on.
There you go.
All right.
Which is what Paul is saying with the 2050 plan. Where's the place that more density comes in? And Julian's saying in the 2050 plan, faculty.
Well,
And
I think we need to be a little more nuanced. I think all of our zones end up getting, have some level of undeveloped,
Yes,
right? But
particularly rural.
our call here is to figure out how we guide it. And, our master plan has given us some advice. It says more density where we're already built out, right? And we're looking at, and we've been fighting that fight in the downtown for a while. We see how hard that is. And we constantly hear, how do you protect the residential neighborhoods? Well, so this will be a hard sell, which is why we need to find tools to make it a better sell. And throughout the entire that's why I said, remember, throughout the entire RA, allow the duplex, allow the two-family, but then create this fifth zone, which goes up to the four-family. And that's where, and use that as the buffer, because, yeah, our Faculty Road and Mill Road are right up against the university and the commercial districts. But you get back out into Oyster River Road and Burnham and back there, then, those aren't necessarily, are areas where an R4 would make sense. A whole row of four families would be the most sense, at least not by 2050. Maybe by 2075, in 25 years, they'll start a smart planning board would be talking about 2075, right?
I think just from the 25-year perspective that you're offering, at least my perspective from 25 years ago, and just oddly enough, I moved to Durham 25 years ago. So my perspective 25 years ago was, we moved here because it was very good schools for the children, education was important to us and all that good stuff. But at the same time, homes were affordable. This whole thing about faculty not being here, or students going to Dover or Somersworth or whatever it is, or Rochester, and doing rentals even there, and then driving back and forth to college, to UNH. I think there is an element there of affordability. So when you're talking about having that zoning piece which allows multi-family homes, if it impacts, which I think it would, impact affordability positively, then I think we'll find more residents buying homes here potentially, and more residents, living here in rentals, because there is an affordability element which is
Yeah.
all underlying there.
And you're not going to get there if you don't start building something new.
Correct.
Yeah. It'll just become more and more expensive, and faculty will just become more and more
All
gentrified.
right, so
Can't get any more.
plan to move forward. What are people thinking now? I mean,
I would like to see where, like pictures of where you would put this place, this zone.
well, that's one of the reasons why I had those black and white maps sent out so that we can color. At the time, I said, think about where you want a fifth story in the downtown, but it was also in preparation for this exercise. Where do you think? So that could be homework for us,
Okay.
right? Go home, print it out, get out a highlighter, and start looking at spots, that are in Churchill, professional office.
We're going to call it, let's call it R4 for now.
And where would an R4 belong?
So not an overlay.
What are the good target zones? We talked about a few already tonight.
Mr. Chairman, what time do you expect to adjourn?
I'm hoping to get out of here by 10.
Okay. When 10 o'clock comes, I might have a motion, so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to leave the room at the very start. Do we plan to get to the proposed zoning amendments, these 2 pages with
I think what we've
definitions and so on?
What we did is, when we got to the table of dimensions,
Yeah.
I then sidetracked the discussion,
Okay.
all right, into this idea about how these dimensions aren't going to don't work with our current zoning map.
Good.
And that's what we've been talking about since then, is the fact that we probably need a new zone. And so our next step is going to be, let's go look at the new zone, get that ironed out, and then we can pick up the rest of this stuff. Because I think if we do, and because I know a lot of people have some heartburn with the standards for specific uses for 170, for the 2, 3, and 4 unit residences.
Yeah,
Are we talking about these definitions now?
We're talking about that blue page.
yeah, all that blue words.
Yeah, the last, that whole page of blue. Do we want to quickly talk about these?
You're talking about this now?
I would hold off on that.
I would hold off on
I
those
think
areas.
you're-
I have come, okay.
Let's do this up.
What do you want to go where?
We'll figure it, yeah. I think the new task is we're going to try to figure out this new residential zone.
Yeah, some months ago, I went through these 2 pages, the definitions and the standards for specific use, and marked them up, and I've brought my marked up pages to meeting after meeting after meeting. We don't get to them. So I'm getting a little frustrated.
I understand
But
your frustration.
It's easy to frustrate me, folks, and
So
I'm
my
not shy.
intent, my intent is we're going to do this new zone. We're going to at least seriously look at it, because it seems like everybody agrees that it is a better route forward than what the Housing Task Force, what's in this packet right now. So I would say, put it in a file for the summer.
You mean this?
Yeah.
This summer.
I mean,
Okay. All right,
because I think
so-
we're going to do the
Maybe
new,
give 'em
So
a
we're going to
chance
find a twilight zone somewhere,
yeah, or we'll get it.
or something like that thing in New Mexico. where
Area
they hide
52?
the, aliens.
Area
Roswell.
51.
Roswell, yes, I've been there.
Okay.
So, but the homework assignment on R4 is everybody look at the black and white things, highlight where you think R4 should go,
And we'll see how
and see if
often
there's
we agree.
consistency.
And if anything that we all agree on would be a good start.
Well, let me ask this, is R4 somewhere between R3 and R, rural?
So R4, the idea of R4 is to be a transition zone between the commercial core zones and our neighborhoods.
Oh,
And that would be an area where we
So-
allow the denser residences by right, like
so it
4
would come
families.
before R1?
It will be our buffer, right?
Okay.
So,
Between commercial and RA?
yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Or rural.
I'm fine with
You're talking
that.
about between that and rural, right? Because you're talking about RA, RB, and RC.
Well, commercial and any other residential,
Okay,
potentially.
okay.
Now, we had talked, and the other thing to think about, because Richard will remember, I think will remember, there's been a couple times where we've talked about, hey, Coast Corner doesn't make sense. Right? And it's like, do we do this? So I sort of had on my schedule for sometime this year, the idea that we'd review our commercial core zones as well.
Yeah.
Should we do it all together? I think we kind of we would have to,
Okay.
I think we kind of would have to do it all
If you're gonna carve some
together.
of the new zone out of commercial
Do any
stuff,
of you
might
know
as
the
well do
history
it.
of Coe's Corner, that zone? It's a compromise.
It looks like a
fell between
compromise.
the cracks,
It's-
and there was
yeah.
special interest involved.
So while you have your highlighters out, take a look at it, think with an idea of Vision 2050, if you have thoughts about what new commercial things, what new commercial zone lines would be appropriate.
In 2050,
and-
I'll be 113. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
I'm-
it.
You'll still be
hoping to-
sitting right here every other Wednesday.
And keep in mind that the town's looking to make money, right? We're looking to try to, and so I would suggest some ideas. Let's think about how we attract people to come to town as a destination and stop and spend money at places other than UNH,
Yeah, yeah.
all right?
We're accessible by railroad. We're accessible by bus, railroad. Let's emphasize that.
But
railroad
I do think another exercise that I mentioned before that would be a good approach is look at the tax maps and the GIS maps showing, I would start with Faculty Road. And that shows you the lot sizes and the building footprints and where there's vacant lots. Look at that, start with Faculty Road and contemplate, if we want to try to foster some more density, how would you do that in the existing Faculty Road neighborhood in a way that makes sense? Did you pork chop subdivisions in the back? Do you allow subdivision? Do you allow duplexes? Do you allow a second ADU? Because that will ground you in what could realistically be done and might be acceptable.
I know a number of lots in the faculty neighborhood that are oversized that would be well suited for large accessory dwelling units, but we can't go over, what, 850? What's the maximum lot size?
I thought it was 900.
Yeah, you could have larger ADUs, you could have 2 ADUs, you could require owner occupancy on the site.
Okay, that's
You
good
could have
thinking.
duplexes, you could have a pork chop subdivision in the back.
All right, okay.
So we do that with the maps.
We got
Do that
lots
with
of
the maps.
possibilities.
And we come back, and, I mean, it's playtime. We get to play with colors and crayons.
Okay, are we going to use the same colors?
You can use,
Yellow for housing and green for expansion of business, or what? Because, everybody uses different colors. It just gets all confusing.
just
Oh my God.
label them, as long as you
Label them.
label them appropriately,
Oh,
we
okay,
can
so we'll
clean
label
it
them
up.
R4 or business.
Yeah.
B for business and
Is R4
R4
transitional or is
R4 is
R4?
transitional.
So would that mean it
Housing.
was
The four.
transitional for housing?
Our
So
R4 is
we're doing
four-unit
family,
housing.
More unit.
Four-unit housing, I mean, I don't, and because we're going to leave the multi-unit in our commercial zones,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
intent here, right?
Sounds good.
yes.
R4 for up to 4.
Okay, minutes of,
Okay.
was that the right minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Minutes of February 11th?
Julian?
These aren't in our packet, are they, Michael?
Pardon?
Are they in our packet? Because they
They
were not in
should
the
be,
packet I
yes, they
picked
should
up.
be.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you made a number of changes to the minutes I gave you.
If you gave, I made the changes that you.
All right, good.
The
okay.
ones that were straightforward, not.
Yes, yes, yes.
The only change I had on the minutes for February 11th was that I voted no on Cowell Drive, not abstaining. So that was
Yeah.
just a...
That is true.
Yeah.
And we reported, and that is the way we reported it to, or at least I reported it to other people, was that it was 6-4 and 1 approved. And I even asked you why you didn't, and your reason was for intrusion into the RA zone.
Yeah.
And so, and that is not reflected here either.
Julian, these might have been copied Julian, before I put your comments in.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
But otherwise, I have no changes to those minutes.
Neither do I at this point, having made a lot of changes.
All right, so, and those changes aren't reflected with what's in front of us?
I don't think they are. Julian gave me a lot of things, and everything that was obvious I incorporated.
All right, well, Julian, I have great faith in you when it comes to these minutes, so
Oh.
I'm fine,
Thank you.
you know.
All right, motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the 11th.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And then we have the site walk minutes of February
Kyle
21.
Drive of the
Stratford Lane.
Stratford
Ave.
Lane, yeah.
Stratford Ave.
I was absent from that site walk, though I took 2 walks on my own, so I will abstain.
These are the wrong minutes?
These are not Stratford, these are Cowell.
Okay,
No, actually, they're a bad mix.
okay.
Did David and Susan Richmond actually show up?
No,
at
they were
Stratford?
not there.
No.
Not on the
Oh,
Stratford
Okay,
Ave.
other than that, I
Not
think
on
they're
Stratford.
correct.
They were there on
Right.
Cowell, but.
Yeah, the rest of them look like they're for Stratford, but.
Okay, yeah, that's, delete the Richmonds, yeah.
Okay, I move to approve the Kyle Drive minutes as submitted.
Stratford Avenue.
Did we
No,
do
that's
Cowell?
separate.
Oh,
We did those last meeting.
Before, yeah.
Oh, we did do Kyle Drive.
Kyle Drive was
Oh,
done
I'm
last
sorry. I
meeting.
thought you were saying they were in this.
No, I saw Kyle
Okay.
Drive, others,
Names
people.
when they shouldn't have
The
been there.
neighbors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's 2 people that are from Cowell, so
Right.
they just have to be admitted, so.
Some cutting and
So,
pasting
and-
was
Approve as
obviously
amended.
done.
and it's a draft of a landing board.
That people can.
Michael?
Oh, it's the landing board.
Michael?
Well, you can if you want.
Just a
yeah.
second.
Michael?
Yeah.
Right here?
It's the landing board.
You've got landing board. You lost a P.
Oh, okay. My spell check didn't get that.
All right, so Julian, you made a motion to approve the site walk minutes. I think you meant to say 20 Stratford, right?
No,
No.
I meant for Kyle. I thought we were separating them. No, I can't make a motion for the Stratford because I wasn't there.
You
Apparently we
you
can.
can
We
make
just
a
can't
motion
vote.
if you wish.
Or
That's-
Emma can.
I move that we approve the Stratford Avenue site walk minutes as presented or amended or whatever.
As
Yeah,
amended.
okay.
All
And
right,
I'll
so the only,
second that.
and the only 2 people who can vote on it are Sally and Emma.
I guess that's right. but-
All in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. The rest of us abstain?
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Abstain.
Because Peyton wasn't there and Gary, Peyton was
and
there
Gary
and
aren't here
Gary were
tonight.
there, but they are not here.
Right, okay, thank you. Now, other business. This is exactly, I'm sure you're going to say, what more? All right, so when the 4 stories, 50 feet was approved, I think I had mentioned before, there were some reservations that we, and things that some of the counselors had said they would like to have seen in it, and which, and they would hope that we would move on sooner rather than later. And the first one was, with regards to the first floor commercial, only requirement for a certain depth of the property, like 50 or 60 feet.
We require 50 feet, right?
We require
Right.
50 and Carden
Thought it
saw
was
that
too
and
much.
thought it was too much.
No, well, you require the full first floor
Right.
to be commercial.
Yeah,
The
right
50
now it's
feet
the
is
full floor.
only a separate thing if somebody wants to redistribute their commercial throughout the building, which I've never seen anyone do, then at least the first 50 feet
The
has to
50
be,
feet is if they're doing commercial on the first 2 floors?
and they're spreading it around. But the whole first floor otherwise has to be commercial.
So we should just say the entire first floor must be commercial.
Yeah.
That's what it says now.
is.
Yeah.
And the thought is that setting that to 50 feet, having it as a 50-foot minimum would make better use of the property, and that's enough for most of these small storefronts, boutique
But
stores and things
We
like
could
that.
do that if you want, but that means the back of it would be apartments on the first floor.
I would, as part of that, I would also suggest that we allow the remainder of the first floor to be parking if they want.
Yeah,
You mean in the rear?
in the rear.
In the rear.
Because if we
That
want.
actually makes more sense.
If we
That
want
makes more
residences
sense.
upstairs who are going to live here year-round, they would prefer on-site parking to having to go somewhere else.
In a ground floor apartment in a commercial zone is not,
Yeah, it's not
it's
really.
not
what we want.
really what you want.
But I think by allowing parking either
You can create
in
parking
both the
in the back.
basement and the first floor, you know,
In the back.
opens up these properties to be more attractive residential units.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not going to see it in the rear anyway.
And it could be where they have
So the
their
proposal is 50 feet max requirement?
minimum,
Minimum requirement.
give a
From the
minimum.
street.
From
The street, 50
depth
feet
from the
back,
street.
minimum.
Minimum for commercial.
And that's,
Now, the parking idea is my idea, it wasn't the town council's idea, I want to make that clear, but I think it's a smart way of using that space.
we could suggest that.
And then they also wanted us to be looking at, they were saying fifth stories, I'm thinking, why do we keep talking stories? Isn't the real question the height of the building? So maybe where would we allow the 60 feet of height that would allow the fifth story type idea?
Is that another map,
Well,
color
that-
form
Well,
type thing that we're doing?
You know they're concerned about 66 Main Street.
It is, and yes, and a
Which
big incentive of this and why it's
is-
important is they want that extra height for 66 Main Street.
And they want it quick.
And it sounds like.
We don't want to spend a bunch of time going through this, so
You want it now.
they want it now.
And so the 50-foot notion is from Doug's building on the corner all the way through?
We get to decide where it goes.
We can decide
We
where.
do
it
get-
goes.
But at
Right
a
now,
bare
it's
minimum,
everywhere.
Where would?
at a bare minimum, it needs to include 66 Main Street, and I would say from there
I think it's
to
60
UNH.
66 Main Street to Pettibrook.
And the other thing I would say is take a look at where we already have 5-story buildings in the zone. Madbury Commons, 10 Pettibrook, the Paul College. Those are all 5 stories.
Well, when we talked about it some time ago, we talked about, I mean, some of us were all for a footprint that was sort of boxed in Madbury, Garrison, Main Street. And then maybe you cut out, the Jenkins Court and a little bit of Pettibrook to maintain the character by the post office area. But we got a lot of land along that Madbury Road corridor. And while the private parcels on Garrison are less, to your point, it's next to the largest buildings that we have in our town.
Right. And you know what other place that's in this zone where 5 stories would be absolutely human scale?
Where?
Mathis Court.
Oh, you're going to take down those buildings?
No, you don't want to.
Where
That's
where
not-
the dentist is, because
wanna
A,
encourage
from
that.
Pettibrook, that's all, I know for a fact the owner there would love to redevelop.
I'm sure, yeah.
So is the question?
And, it's set back by the brook from Pettibrook.
Yep.
So 5 stories is a no-brainer. It's next to 4-story building, 3 sides, because it's next to Madbury Commons and it's next to 9 Madbury Road, which are already 4 stories. It's a gimme from a 5-story viewpoint.
Oh, because it's carrying on.
Yes, Emma?
Sounds more like the issue is a matter of passing something that allows 5 stories and restricts 5 stories in certain places rather than allowing 5 stories in certain places. Make the baseline 5 stories allowed with restrictions on where.
Restrict 4 stories.
We
just
barely
got rid
got the 50 feet through for the 4 stories.
Let's just allow for, I think, yeah.
Well, we can definitely do targeted 60
story.
feet. And I'm picking 60 feet out of my hat because it's 10 feet higher than 50.
But you might
And
need
since we're
more.
talking about adding a middle story effectively, with
you
that,
add-
10 feet should be enough, but it might need,
12 feet. You need 12 feet of storage.
so, but that 60 feet becomes a little, is that the right number or not? I don't know. I could defend it, I could argue for more, but
You could, a very simple way, you could just say, in the rectangle bound on the westerly side of Jenkins Court, bound by Jenkins Court, Petty Brook, and Main Street, which is a half a dozen lots. They're all privately owned, including 66 Main Street. Just say everything in there can be 60 feet by right.
Where, give me the bound on that,
So
please.
that is the rectangle bound west of Jenkins, bound by Jenkins Court, Main Street, and Petty
Jenkins,
Brook.
Petty down around.
So just
okay.
west of, on the
Yeah.
west side of Jenkins, very simple, make it 60 feet. We can put out for public hearing in 2 weeks if you
Mike,
want.
so here's the concern I have with that, all right? Because what someone said, we got to have it for, was it 66 Main, right?
They're crying for it for 66
Right.
Main Street.
And
66 Main Street is way up high already.
it is, and what do you think when you scratch the earth? What are you going to encounter?
That's a whole story. They're not going to be able to go down. They're not going to go
Blow
down.
the whole hill off.
Gotta have,
and
yeah,
bring it
they're gonna
right
have to go
the
down the
sidewalk
ledge.
level. That's
They're
what
gonna
I would
blow
do.
That's the hope.
It's an expensive endeavor there, isn't it? And if you go, if you go
dynamite.
further down, because you've got ledge that you can certainly put a foundation on, right? And go up. Or, to your point, let's go down. Let's bring it down to street level. Or even better yet, why don't we go down a level and put my parking in the basement? But the cost of that, do you think it'll happen? And I don't know. That's a real
Not
question.
just 6
Well,
stories.
maybe it will if they have 79.
well, it's,
E.
I remember, Richard, when they were planning to build the Orion things on Main Street. You spent about 3 hours one night on blasting, and we ended up having good control inspections beforehand, afterwards, of the old buildings for blasting. I've got nothing against blasting. Did a little myself.
But anyway, it doesn't, we're not
Okay,
saying that we don't
but-
like it, we're saying it's
But Paul,
expensive.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for bringing up the Madras Court redevelopment. Bill Shoemaker, who was an architect involved with many things going on,
Name's still in the building.
owned a house, or rather a building, a two-story building in the middle of Mathis Court, and he used to sort of mumble and whisper about that possibility. So,
Well, there was also a proposal
Proposal.
to demolish 2 of those 4 squares and put in a student housing
Yeah,
project
yeah.
by Matt Crape, and it was a firestorm.
Yeah,
and
it
it was
was.
rejected.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, to keep this simple, I would just recommend in that rectangle, just say 5 stories, 60 feet, put it on for public hearing in 2 weeks. That would be
We already
easy
have
and
one
fast.
5-story building
Okay, yeah, well-
approved in that area, the corner of Petty, whether it ever gets built or not. It already
no,
is.
that was 4.
You
No,
went
it's
down.
5 stories.
Well,
Clark's-
Mayberry comments.
No,
but
he
that's
reduced it to
beyond.
4.
Yeah, he didn't, because he didn't want to do the conditional
Oh,
use.
right.
Street,
all right,
74
So,
miles.
so,
Anyway,
so
if you
Michael,
want
I
simple,
think,
you know.
I think your notion of from Jenkins all the way to the corner
Is a good
makes
start.
sense, and
Let's
I
see
would-
how it goes.
I
Just
think
5
put it out to
stories,
public hearing
60.
makes a lot of sense.
Firestorm, I'll predict a firestorm.
Oh,
Well, of
no, why-
course
oh,
it
well,
requires-
well, people don't want 5 stories.
But it's being, no,
That's true.
Wait, so go
No, the
ahead.
council wants
But the
it.
it's being
Council-
responsive to what the council's asking us to do, and
Mr.
let
Chairman.
people speak against it if they want. We're not
Let
saying
the
it's going to
council
happen.
take
We still have to decide.
I mean, that's
whether-
what the council's asked for. It's simple.
Well-
You still have the architecture regs.
We also know there's a lot of people who are very concerned about the properties, about having 5-story buildings on Jenkins Court itself,
Well, but,
especially with it being opposite those taller buildings.
well, they're
So
not gonna-
I've seen, some people have asked me to say, hey, can you do it so that it starts with the lots,
Oh, well, that's
just
true.
inside?
You're right. I would do that. You don't want an incentive to tear down town and campus. There's a part of that lot behind it.
Oh,
which
actually,
want-
but we want town and campus to be replaced.
Yeah, we do. It's,
We want the two-story buildings to go away.
it's old.
He had a great design that went above that,
He
and
wanted
it would
to
have
do
done
it, and believe me,
There was a
I fully
design.
expect, now that he has 4 stories, that there's a good chance it will get done.
And if
Well,
he
then
can
you
do
could just say
5,
everything west of Jenkins Court.
yeah, because
Mr. Chairman, we have
66 Main
a
with the height.
new member.
He doesn't wish to speak tonight.
No,
Yes,
I'm
I
not
want to
asking him to
speak.
speak, but I want to acknowledge that he's here, and I think we should, by all means, go with that recommendation for 6 stories to give him something exciting to deal with.
6 stories? All right, we can make it.
No.
Why stop
No,
at
it's
6?
very simple.
Yeah.
You got 4 stories and 50 feet. West of Jenkins, go 5 stories and 60 feet. It's
Do
very
we need to
simple.
specify 5 stories? Can we just say 60 feet?
No, you should.
Oh, yeah,
You should. You
They
should
want to
specify
hear 5
and
stories.
feet.
Make it 5 stories.
Stories and feet.
I think it does have to say 5 stories, because I think they want it specified as 5 stories. But 5 stories,
I mean,
60 feet,
I really think that we need to get away from talking about stories
I understand, but what-
throughout the central
Well,
business
no,
district.
it's good to-
It's building height that matters.
No, but it's stories too.
But you don't
It's
wanna do
stories
it
too,
now. We've
Because
already
stories defines the character of the district.
Okay, so
In fact, a
Paul-
lot of zones don't have a building height, they just go by stories.
So this
No,
started,
it's
Probably
good to do
even
both.
more logical.
this started because the town council was giving you direction that, hey, we really need to do this, so.
yes.
They almost didn't pass this one
Yeah.
because we had removed the 5 stories.
That
I
bothered me,
explained why
yeah.
we did that, and the biggest issue is they want it quickly put back in.
ASAP.
Because there's
ASAP.
pending commercial activity that could happen
Yes.
at 66 Main Street, and that could kick off a virtuous cycle
Yeah.
from there to the corner.
Right.
But you also
And-
think
and-
about
and
the
it's
potential
also-
of that big property.
And not just the building height, but we want to do that
Big parking
for the zone
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
The
well-
other items, the commercial space.
Throw it in at the same time.
I mean, well,
I would like to, because that was the reason Cardin stated for voting no, is that we did not provide, that we were still requiring a full layer of commercial space on the first floor. So if we send something back
Well, it was the
without that in it, in this zone, he's going to vote no again.
It was the
You
50
You
feet.
can include that. You could do that for all of CB1. The only commercial requirement is 50 feet of depth, and then do this 5 stories and 60 feet on the westerly side. You can include that now if you want.
I'd like
But-
to, and I'd like to allow the parking in the back half of the first floor.
I like that. I like
So-
that.
I like the parking.
Yeah.
All right, so if.
I'm not crazy
right,
about the
okay.
residential, but I like the
Well, do you want to
parking.
allow just parking and not residential in the back?
It has to be
Ye-
on the
yes.
first floor,
Well-
commercial or parking for the unit. Do not allow residents on the bottom floor.
Right, so.
No residents on the
so
first floor.
The whole first floor has to be, quote, retail office. However, beyond 50 feet, you could put parking as an option.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll put that out for public hearing in 2 weeks, if that's acceptable?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Before I make a motion to adjourn, could I ask if anyone would like to look at this or pass it around?
I know, I'm fine, I don't need to see it.
Let me take
We
a
can always
picture
write
of it. I'm going to get it on Amazon if I won't read it in book format. I need backlighting now.
Yeah. It contains more information than you need to know, but it's fun to read the whole thing.
It's probably really interesting.
It is.
With the land.
So on that note, Julian.
I move we adjourn.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? We are out of here.
Hurry.